CPM UML Chair Oli maintains candidacy for party leadership in upcoming convention, says leadership is moving toward generational transition. Nepal emphasizes urgent action to protect glaciers and sustain mountain communities' livelihoods on International Mountain Day. This year's theme underscores growing threat of rapid glacier melt. Nepal's youth at risk as drug trade escalates in border districts, hundreds arrested. Venezuelan government condemns U.S. seizure of oil tanker. Trump calls it largest vessel captured under sanctions. At least 34 killed as Myanmar military airstrikes hit hospital in Rakhine's Mraukyu. Ethnic conflict escalates. And it's Lumini Lions versus Biratnagar Kings at the Nepal Premier League. Biratnagar chasing a victory target of 135 runs. I'm Sarah Sapsanama Rai and this is NTV World Primetime News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Across the globe, it's 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 p.m. in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. And now the news in detail. Nepal's Election Commission has said 114 political parties are set to contest the national polls on March 5, but only 107 election symbols will appear on the ballot. While alliances are allowed, parties registered with separate symbols must still compete under their own logos. 12 parties will run with distinct single symbols, while several groups have opted to share joint logos. Under Nepal's election law, parties sharing a symbol must still identify their candidate's party affiliation, and whichever party wins the most seats under the joint symbol will form the parliamentary party. Of the 114 parties registered, 102 will contest alone, while 100 parties have filed for proportional representation using 93 symbols. Nepal's Election Commission had set today as a deadline for political parties wishing to withdraw their applications for the proportional representation system. Parties could pull out their names between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. A total of 100 parties have applied for the PR list. The Commission will review the submissions and announce approvals by December 11, according to spokesperson Narayan Prasad Bhattarai. For the March 5 general election, the Commission had opened PR registration from December 6 to the 8th. Of the 275 seats in the House of Representatives, 165 are elected directly, while 110 come through proportional representation. CPM UML chairperson KP Sharma Oli has said that he will retain the party chair position through upcoming 11th National Congress if an agreement is reached or if elected by the delegates. In conversation with editors organized by Press Chautari Nepal today, Oli noted that the UML is in favor of parliament reinstatement. Referring to the context of having accepted the court decisions, even if unsatisfactory, Oli mentioned that there is no legal provision requiring him to give a statement to the inquiry commission formed to investigate the September 8 and 9 movement. UML's 11th National Congress is taking place on December 13 to the 15th. Now, in a significant development, today's Council of Ministers meeting approved the implementation of the 10-point agreement signed between the government and Gen Z representatives on December 10 at Singadarbar. The pact signed by Prime Minister Sushila Karki and Bhoj Bikram Thapa on behalf of those martyred and injured during the Gen Z movement will now be published in the National Gazette, confirmed Minister Jagadish Kharel. The Cabinet also decided to expand the mandate of the Investigation Commission probing the September 8 to 9 Gen Z movement incidents. Minister Kharel added that the Commission will operate within its legal framework, including the possible recording of statements from former Prime Minister, KP Sharma Oli. In western Nepal, 22 passengers have been injured after a bus travelling from Dadilthura to Kathmandu veered off a bridge at Kaudiapul in Lamahi along the east-west highway. Police say the bus plunged into the river and all injured passengers were rescued and taken to Lamahi Hospital with help from security forces and local residents. There were 38 people on board. An investigation is currently underway. We'll take a short break here. More news coming up. You're watching NTV World and this is Prime Time News. Nepal's Minister for Agriculture and Livestock Development, Dr. Madan Prasad Pariyar, has said that Nepal should take the lead in amplifying issues of mountain conservation within the global community. Addressing a program organized by the Ministry of Forests and Environment on the occasion of International Mountain Day today, the minister said Nepal remains one of the countries most affected by the impacts of climate change and that collective efforts are needed to address its consequences. The minister further added that the role played by local communities in the mountainous regions, including indigenous peoples, ethnic groups, Dalits, and marginalized communities in mountain and nature conservation is incomparable. Today marks International Mountain Day, observed worldwide every December 11 to highlight the importance of mountain ecosystems and the challenges they face. This year's theme, Glaciers Matter for Water, Food and Livelihoods, underscores the growing threat of rapid glacier melt, which scientists say is endangering water security, agriculture, hydropower, and the lives of millions. Events in Nepal and across the globe include seminars, photo campaigns, and local restoration projects. The United Nations has already declared 2025 the International Year of Glaciers Preservation, warning that melting ice sheets, which store 70% of the world's fresh water, are a clear signal of the deepening climate crisis. For Nepal, home to the towering Himalayas and 8 of the world's highest summits, the message of this year's International Mountain Day is unmistakably urgent. Their rapid retreat now threatens water, food systems and livelihoods from the high slopes to the plains. Sabika Shrestha takes a closer look.
Home to 14 peaks above 8,000 meters, Nepal is a mountainous country and the International Mountain Day matters to none other than us. Climate change, global warming, increasing pollution due to human encroachment, expeditions, among others, are exerting tremendous pressure to the mountain ecosystem. The Himalayas are the source of water for more than 1.9 billion people, which is nearly a quarter of the global population. Preserving the Himalayan ecosystem is becoming increasingly challenging in the present time. Experts warn that rising global temperatures are causing rapid glacial retreat, threatening water security and increasing risks of floods, landslides, and erosion in both high altitude and downstream communities. Anil Kirati, Executive Director of the Nepal Mountain Academy, says the government is now prioritizing climate change issues.
कार्यक्रमको हिसाबले हेर्ने हो भने अब नेपाल सरकारले त सगरमाथा राष्ट्रिय संवाद जस्ता कार्यक्रम हैन अनि विभिन्न किसिमका अन्य मसिना दैनिक कार्यहरूमा गर्नुपर्ने निर्णयहरू चाहिँ हिमाल संरक्षणको लागि भनेर विभिन्न निकायसँग समन्वयमा कामहरू पनि गरिरहेको छ। माउन्ट एभरेस्टको अब एक्सपिडिसनको बेलामा त जसले जति फोहोर लान्छ माथि सामान लिएर गएको हुन्छ त्यो फोहोर चाहिँ उसले बेस क्याम्पसम्म झार्नै पर्ने नीति नै छ र त्यो एकदम कडाइका साथ अहिलेसम्म नेपाल सरकार अब हाम्रो मन्त्रालयले लागू पनि गरिरहेकै छ। अन्यमा चाहिँ अब सबैलाई काउन्सिलिङ गर्ने।
Nepal has repeatedly stressed in international forums that despite minimal contribution to global emissions, it faces some of the harshest climate impacts. Younger generations' interest in preserving the mountain ecosystem is crucial in future to keep the peaks covered by snow while providing water downstream for agricultural use.
So we can preserve mountain ecosystem by first of all by preserving the local peoples of the mountain region, and after that we can contribute to the development of the local destinations, sustainable local destinations. And another things we can do is preserve fragile ecosystem of the mountain regions. And main things is we have to make clean the mountains and do everything we can to keep it as it is when we return back from there.
For Nepal, International Mountain Day is a reminder that protecting glaciers is crucial, not only for iconic landscapes, but also for water, food, energy, and the livelihoods of millions. Reported by Sabika Shrestha for NTV World with camera person Rasila Shrestha.
And moving on, Kailali and Kanchanpur districts in far western Nepal are facing a serious drug threat. Easy cross-border access with India has fueled rampant trafficking, directly affecting the nation's youth. Police reports indicate a sharp rise in drug users and traffickers across the region. A 2020 Ministry of Home Affairs survey estimated 130,424 drug users nationwide. By 2024, that number is in fact projected to exceed 156,000, with youth aged 15 to 29 making up over 3/4 of users. In Kailali and Kanchanpur, many users are aged just 16 to 20. Arrests have surged from 392 in the fiscal year 2077-78 to nearly 1,000 in 2081-82, mostly involving young people. Experts cite open borders, unemployment, poverty, and peer pressure as major drivers. Despite government campaigns and awareness programs, the problem continues to grow, raising urgent questions about the effectiveness of current strategies. In Madhya province, drug trafficking and abuse are rising at an alarming rate as well. In the past 6 months, 288 people have been arrested, including 37 internationals and 13 women. Police report that Dhanusha, Siraha and Parsa districts are the hardest hit, with many users under the age of 20. Authorities say open borders and insufficient attention from local government, families and society are fueling the problem. Rugam Kuwar, Deputy Superintendent of Police, Dhanusha, has said Madhya ranks third in the country for drug abuse, and border areas are increasingly being used as illegal transit routes. Officials emphasize that police action alone is not enough. Families, communities and provincial authorities must also actively work to curb drug use and trafficking. In eastern Nepal, police in Morang have seized a large cache of marijuana left abandoned in Rangeli municipality. Officers from the Rangeli area police recovered more than 921 kilograms of cannabis packed into 29 sacks. Police Superintendent Kavita Katwal has said a search is underway for those involved in transporting the drugs, and an investigation is underway. Nepal is set to begin a new tiger census from December 16. Chitwan and Parsa national parks will be surveyed as a single block alongside Bake, Bardia and Suklafata, continuing the country's 4-year census cycle. About 150 trained personnel will be deployed from December 18, covering 900 grid units, each representing 2 square kilometers. Camera traps will remain in place for up to 20 days in every sector, with technical teams stationed between grids. Nepal's last census in 2022 recorded 335 adult tigers nationwide. International news coming up next. For now, a short break. You're watching NTV World. Welcome back to Primetime News. The United States has said it has seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela in what President Donald Trump calls the largest vessel ever taken under U.S. sanctions. A video released by Attorney General Pam Bondi shows what officials describe as a tanker carrying sanctioned crude from Venezuela and Iran. Caracas has condemned the move as international piracy, accusing Washington of trying to steal its resources. The Trump administration, meanwhile, continues to ramp up pressure on President Nicolas Maduro, whom it accuses of enabling narcotics trafficking. News of the seizure pushed Brent crude slightly higher, with analysts warning the action could further disrupt Venezuela's already strained oil exports. Moving on, at least 34 people have died and dozens more are injured after airstrikes from Myanmar's military hit a hospital in the country's west on Wednesday night. The hospital is located in Amraukyu town in Rakhine State, an area controlled by the Arakan Army, one of the strongest ethnic armies fighting the country's military regime. Thousands have died and millions have been displaced since the military seized power in a coup in 2021 and triggered a civil war. In recent months, the military has intensified airstrikes to take back territory from ethnic armies. It has also deployed paragliders to drop bombs on its enemies. The Myanmar military has not commented on the strikes, which come as the country prepares to vote later this month in its first election since the coup. Fighting has raged at the border of Cambodia and Thailand, with explosions heard near centuries-old temples ahead of United States President Donald Trump's planned phone call to the leaders of both the countries. At least 19 people have been killed in the reignited border conflict. More than 500,000 people, mostly in Thailand, have fled border areas near where jets, tanks and drones have waged battle. This week's clashes are the deadliest since 5 days of fighting in July that killed dozens before a shaky truce was agreed following intervention by Trump. The Southeast Asian nations dispute the colonial-era demarcation of their 800 kilometers frontier, where both sides claim a smattering of historic temples. Both sides blame the other for reigniting the conflict, which has expanded to 5 provinces of both Thailand and Cambodia. U.S. nuclear-capable bombers flew over the Sea of Japan alongside Japanese fighter jets, Tokyo said, in a show of force following Chinese and Russian drills in the skies and seas around Japan and South Korea. Japan and the U.S. reaffirmed their strong resolve to prevent any unilateral attempt to change the status quo by force and confirmed the readiness posture of both the Self-Defense Forces SDF and U.S. forces. The display follows a joint flight of Chinese and Russian strategic bombers in the East China Sea and Western Pacific on Tuesday, and separate Chinese aircraft carrier drills that prompted Japan to scramble jets that Tokyo said were targeted by radar beams. China denied Tokyo's accusation about the carrier aircraft encounter, saying Japanese jets had endangered its air operations south of Japan. The Indian capital, New Delhi, has been engulfed in dense smog as cooler winter air traps pollutants close to the ground, creating a hazardous blend of emissions from crop burning, industrial activity and heavy traffic. Authorities have warned residents that air quality levels remain dangerously high, with visibility reduced in several parts of the city. The acrid smog has prompted health advisories, urging people to limit outdoor activity, wear protective masks and monitor symptoms related to respiratory issues. In an effort to combat the pollution, the city has deployed anti-smog guns, devices designed to suppress dust and airborne particles by spraying fine water mist. More international news after this short break here on NTV World Primetime News. Venezuelan opposition leader and 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Corina Machado has arrived in Oslo after a daring escape from her home country, where she had been in hiding since August 2024 due to threats to her life. 58-year-old Machado was recognized with the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless efforts to challenge President Nicolas Maduro's authoritarian grip on Venezuela and advocate for democratic reforms. While receiving the accolade, she thanked those who risked their lives to get her to Oslo, Norway.
Estas circunstancias. Me lo preguntaban mis hijos, mis amigos, mis compañeros de lucha. Mi respuesta es: tiene que pasar en Venezuela para que reaccionemos todos de una vez y pongamos.
Two brothers wanted in connection with a deadly fire at their nightclub in India's Goa state, which killed 25 people, have been detained in Thailand. It is reported that Gaurav and Saurav Luthra, who owned Burj by Romeo Lane Club, fled to Phuket shortly after the incident earlier this week. Both of them are being sent back to India a day after a court in Delhi refused to grant them protection from arrest, and the Goa government approached India's External Affairs Ministry to revoke their passports. The brothers said that they never intended to evade the law and they will cooperate with authorities on returning to India. The incident took place early on Sunday when a deadly blaze broke out at the club in a busy nightlife area of the tourist state. Investigators believe the fire was triggered by fireworks being set off inside the venue. Gold and silver prices continue to climb in Nepal and worldwide amid growing economic uncertainty. The Nepal Gold and Silver Dealers Federation has set gold at 253,100 rupees per tola, up from the previous day, while silver has risen to 3,805 rupees, a jump of 55 rupees. Internationally, gold is trading at about $4,242 an ounce, with silver near $62. Analysts say market volatility, currency swings and geopolitical tensions are pushing investors towards safe haven metals, a trend strongly felt in South Asia, where demand rises during festivals and weddings. Time now for sports update. Lumbini Lions have entered the final of Nepal Premier League NPL Season 2 by defending a lowly total of 134 runs by 40 runs in the second qualifier. Put to bat first by Biratnagar, Lumbini amassed 134 runs for the loss of 8 wickets in the turning track at the Tew Cricket Stadium. Darcy Short with 45 runs was the top scorer, while skipper Rohit Bodal made 34 beat Biratnagar Kings by 40 runs in a low-scoring second qualifier. That is all for NTV World Primetime News for now. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. To join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official page, nepaltelevision.com. This is Sarah Sapsanama Rai. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting, PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it.
NTV World. Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands.
Reporting for public service broadcasting.
Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
Intermittent playing hide and seek with the folk, enchanting one's heart with the sight of fully bloomed rhododendrons, and rejoicing in the lap of nature with the chirping of the birds. When you set foot in Sandakpur, you experience a wonderful feeling of heavenly bliss right here on earth. Due to the ever-changing weather and the snow-white mountains visible right in front of your eyes, Sandakpur constantly draws everyone's heart towards it. As a habitat for numerous species of birds and endangered wildlife, Sandakpur always leaves an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of all. Situated at an altitude of 3,636 meters above the sea level, Sandakpur is located at Ward 2 and 4 of Sandakpur Rural Municipality in Nepal's eastern Ilam district. Embracing the mountains of Nepal, India and Bhutan, Sandakpur is the only place in South Asia where one can observe the Himalayas of all three countries. While enjoying the Himalayan settlements, one can observe the sunrise and sunset from Sandakpur. It is the only place in Nepal from where over 60 mountain peaks, including the Mount Everest, Kanchenjunga, Makalu, Pativara and Kumbhakarna can be seen from one spot. Being the source of the holy Mai River, one of the 4 major rivers in Ilam, Sandakpur is also revered from a religious standpoint, attracting pilgrims from Sandakpur Ridge. The settlements of Ilam, Jhapa and West Bengal of India seem so close that it feels like you could hold them in the palm of your hand. The crimson glow of the sun rising from the Bay of Bengal in the morning, glittering upon the mountains. The joy of witnessing this form such a height is majestic. That is why in winter for the snow and during the monsoon for the rain, the number of visitors from both home and abroad to Sandakpur is on the rise. Among the different species of rhododendrons found in Nepal, 36 can be spotted just along the Sandakpur trek. The rhododendrons blooming all over the forest captivate every heart. With the chirping of birds, the cliffside honeybees, and the opportunity to study endangered species like the red panda, vultures, while enjoying nature, Sandakpur journey has captivated trekkers from around the world. Every year, more than 150,000 tourists from India, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Europe visit Sandakpur. Known as the Bird's Eye Place, Sandakpur was declared a one province, one cultural village by Nepal government in 2018. However, the place still awaits infrastructures like drinking water, electricity and proper trekking trails. Sandakpur can be reached after a 42-kilometer ride from the Ilam headquarters via Mai Pokhari and Kalu Pokhari. Another route to Sandakpur is from Ilam Bazar via Biblate, Sulubung, Mabu and Kalu Pokhari. When trekking to Sandakpur, the highest point of the Mahabharata range, the joy of staying in the homestays and hotels along the way while savoring local cuisine is immeasurable. While forging a connection with the Himalayan settlements, enjoying herbs and local produce, and playing in the snow in winter and the rain during the monsoon, you must visit Sandakpur at least once in your life.
At every bend of the serpentine Bheri River, a new face of nature emerges. Each turn revealing a beauty so varied and mesmerizing that it moves the heart moment by moment. Travelling from Chinchu of Surkhet through Jare and Mehelkuna toward Gorbakot, the Bheri displays its quiet miracles. Over its crystal blue flow drifts the rustle and chirping of dozens of birds. The whisper of nearby trees merges with the vast blue sky, reflecting a harmony of natural splendor. Cutting through Chinchu, heading along the proud and scenic terrain of Gorbakot, our thoughts find themselves racing steadily along the Madan Bhandari highway toward Lake Besi in Surkhet. Our destination, the Raute settlement. We seek to observe closely the lifestyle of this indigenous group, long perceived as distant. We hope to feel a sense of closeness with a community rarely encountered, where the Raute, in their most authentic form, stand before us to share their stories. The Raute have cultivated a unique identity as Nepal's nomadic ethnic group. If someone in their settlement dies, they immediately abandon that location and do not return for 10 years, a tradition that makes permanent settlement extremely challenging. Their temporary homes are built by fixing wooden stakes into the ground, tying cross pieces, and covering the structure with old cloth and tarpaulin.
सधैँभरि यो पुर्खा मेरो पुर्खौली त्यस्तो छ त्यस्तो नभइदिए भए एक ठाउँमा बस्ने थियो एक ठाउँमा अब यो हजुरलाई हलद्वारा यो घर बनाउँछौँ त्यस्तो घर हामी मन पर्दैन मेरो मन परेको यही यस्तै तिरपाल ताँगाको राम्रो हुन्छ हामीले यस्तै मन पराउँछ यही गाडो लगाएर राम्रो मान्छौँ अब पहिला हेर्न जानु पर्यो पहिला
त्यो हेर्न तपाईँ आफै
यो हामी आफू त जाँदैन केटाउरो जान्छ त केटाउरो गएर फेरि हेरेर ठाउँ राम्रो छ कि नराम्रो छ कि भनेर ठाउँ यो जहाँ ठाउँ राम्रो भयो त्यही जाने यस्तै पाखामा को बस्न सक्छ र यस्तै समूह जग्गा चाहियो
Especially during winter, protecting themselves from the cold becomes difficult. They sleep on the bare ground with only thin tarpaulins, not enough clothing to cover their bodies fully. Men wear a loincloth and wrap their backs with coarse cloth, knotted in front and falling to the thighs, with a cap or a small turban on their heads. Women wear a short, patterned skirt of rough fabric and a handmade blouse that covers only part of the torso and chest. Women adorn themselves with earrings, necklaces and bracelets made of iron, brass and aluminum. When we visited in late Kartik, the cold had already set in, yet the Rauti sat on the ground as usual. Even when ill, they rely solely on their chieftain, traditional healing practices and herbal remedies. The Rauti tell that the community consists of 3 clans, Katyal, Raskoti and Samalvanshi Shahi. According to the National Census of 2021, Rauti population stands at 566. It was 618 in the 2011 census.
बात यो कोही मान्छे यो पहिला त आया थिएन अब आज भोलि त यो चामल पनि आउँछ भट्टा पनि लाग्यो हो कि होइन चामल पनि आउँछ यो तिरपाल पनि आउँछ ब्ल्याङ्केट आउँछ खाना पुग्यो त भइयो अब भोकै मरेको छैन के अरे बाहिरबाट आयो भने कामधारी त गर्नु पर्यो हो कि होइन त्यो काम कुसी बनाउनु पर्यो मधुस बनाउनु पर्यो खाद बनाउनु पर्छ अब दराजहरू हामी बनाउँदैन हजुर.
Traditionally, the Rauti have lived in the forests, ravines and riverbanks of districts like Dailek, Jajurkot, Surkhet, Acham, Salyan, Dang and Kalikot. They dwell in the wilderness, hunt monkeys and carve wooden utensils which they exchange for grain in nearby villages. It's a cycle that sustains their livelihood. The Rauti have distinct marriage customs. After marriage, a separate area is set aside for the couple. According to Rauti belief, a widow should not remarry after her husband's death. Marriages occur strictly within their own community between Rauti youths. Apart from cooking pots at home, an axe for cutting trees, and a chisel-like tool for shaping wood, the Rauti do not store belongings. Men prefer to hunt monkeys using traps, while women gather wild roots and tubers. With just an axe and chisel, they craft wooden utensils. Once, the Rauti believed touching money would bring misfortune. They also avoided speaking with outsiders. But today, they readily ask anyone for money, an indicator of the slow transformation in their lifestyle and consumption habits.
मेरो नाम फुलमाया
कति वर्षको भयो
म 18 भयो
अनि स्कुल जाँदैन
स्कुल त जान थियो पहिला त जान दिएन आज भोलि पनि स्कुल जान दिन्न
कसले
मुखियाले
किन नि
मुखियाले नि पढ्नलाई खाना दिन्न त
किन होला त त्यस्तो
खै के पो होला नि मुखियाले दिन्न नि
र
पढ्न जान त मन त लाग्छ तर पढ्न दिन्न.
In recent years, increasing dependence on alcohol has begun to create serious health issues within the community.
कहिले न कहिले यो यहाँ जङ्गलमा बस्ने बजार हेर्न जाने बरु त्यस्तो आडा मैले मान्छेमा कसैले बजारको नासै हुन्छ त्यो नाच हेर्न जाने कसैले यो मौसुक लाग्छ त्यस्तो मौसुक यो जङ्गलबाट मौसुक हेऱ्यो भने झन् आउनु मान्छु यो मेरो परिवर्तन नगर्ने मान्छे परिवर्तन गरेको कहिले पनि राम्रो मान्दैन हामी मेरो पुर्खैबाट यो परिवर्तन नगरेको मान्छ परिवर्तन गरेको नै यो पैसा चाहिँ आँखाले पैसा चिनेता भइहाल्यो
Nepal's constitution not only recognizes the equal existence, rights and dignity of all ethnic groups, but also ensures fair protection, upliftment, empowerment and development of marginalized and endangered communities. The state has pledged equal distribution of economic, social and cultural opportunities with special provisions for the protection and advancement of disadvantaged people within minority groups. Although the federal and provincial governments have introduced various programs for the Raute community in recent years, the lives of the Raute have yet to see the meaningful improvement envisioned.
गुरु गोरखनाथका तपोभूमि गोर्खा उनकै अनुयायी कन्फट्टा जोगीको रूपमा चिनिने नाथहरूले नाद बजाउँदै कार्तिक र चैत महिनामा राति लगाउने फेरी परम्परा।
चैत र कार्तिकमा चाहिँ यो बजाइन्छ। यो बजाएपछि नाथ बजेपछि काल पनि भएको छ भने नाथ बजे काल भए कालेका निका दूर जाए भनेर हामीले फलाकिन्छ यसलाई। यो कृष्ण सागरको सिङ हो। अब यो चैत र कार्तिकमा बजाएपछि भूत पिचास मरी मसान सबै टाढा जाओस् भागोस् भनेर राति राति हामीले यो काम गरेर हिँडेको हो। काउना गुरुले ज्ञान दे काउना गुरुले कान भारे सतह गुरुले ज्ञान दे अलगा गुरुले कान भारे। अब हामीले यो बाबाजी पालादेखि नै यो गोरखनाथको चेला बनेर कान चिरेर अब हिँडेको।
पृथ्वीनारायण शाहको सन्धि विग्रह कूटनैतिक सम्बन्धमा कनपट्टा जोगीहरूको अत्यन्त ठुलो महत्त्वपूर्ण स्थान छ। कौटल्यको शब्दमा भन्ने हो भने राज्य जोडिएको छिमेकी शत्रु हुन्छ, त्यसभन्दा टाढाको छिमेकी चाहिँ मित्र हुन्छ। त्यसैले पृथ्वीनारायण शाहको लागि अथवा गोर्खाको लागि भनौँ 24 राज्यहरू शत्रु हुन् भने 22 राज्यहरू मित्र हुन्। विशेष गरेर सल्यानमा जहाँ सल्यानका राजकुमार रणबीर शाहलाई पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले आफ्नी एकमात्र पुत्री विलासपतिको पनि विक्रम सम्वत 1823 विवाह गराइदिए। ती भगवन्त नाथसँग पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले कूटनीतिक सम्बन्धको माध्यमबाट उनलाई अत्यन्त सम्मानित गरेर पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले लेखेका विषम 1830-31 का पत्रहरू छापिएका भन्छन्। त्यस्ता अरू पत्रहरू खोज्दै जाँदा होला पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले आफ्नो राज्य बढाउनेमा उनी धर्मप्राण पनि थिए। त्यसबाट प्रसाद गर्नेमा कूटनैतिक खेल्नेमा नाथ योगीहरूको अत्यन्त प्रयोग गरेको देखिन्छ र उनीहरूले पनि पृथ्वीनारायण शाहलाई मद्दत गरेका थिए भन्ने कुरा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहका नाति रणबहादुर शाहका पालाका पत्रहरूबाट पनि धेरै जातिलाई ती नाथ योगीहरूलाई जिम्मा दिएकोबाट बुझिन्छ र नेपालको एकीकरणमा यी नाथ योगीहरूको प्रभाव उनीहरूले दिएको योगदानको विषयमा छुट्टै एउटा राम्रो अध्ययन हुनुपर्छ भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ।
अब बिहानमा चाहिँ फेरि सब सिधाहरू बनाइदिनुहुन्छ, यो के अरे ग्रह शान्ति होस् भनेर हामीले त्यसको मन्त्र पढेर सबै हामीले यो हिँड्नुपर्छ। बाबुआजीको पालादेखि नै यो अब गाउँमा यसो भनौँ न अब औँसो बन्न जस्तै गरेर बाउले यो बाटो लाउँथे, यो बाटो बाउले लाउँथे भनेर 3-4 भयो भने 4 बटेर हिँड्नुहुन्थ्यो। अब अहिले पनि त्यस्तै नै छ। यो पहिले बाबुआजीले यतातिर हिँडेको भएको र म पनि अहिले यहाँतिर यो गोर्खातिर मैले यो हिँडिरहेको छु। मैले कायाना कोठारी मघाभारी भाजा सातो नगरेका पनि सोधरे माको नाराज।
Heaven above and angels below. This is the essence of Ruby Valley. Nestled in the northern part of Nepal's Dhading district, Ruby Valley is a hidden jewel surrounded on all sides by majestic mountain ranges. The landscape here is a feast for the eyes. White rhododendron blossoms paint the hillsides and sprawling rice fields shimmer under the sunlight. At about 300 kilometers from Kathmandu, the valley is a serene retreat rich in culture, tradition and natural beauty. Reaching Ruby Valley involves a remarkable trek that starts with a scenic journey from Kathmandu through Nuwakot and Rasuwa, winding towards the base of Ganesh Himal, the towering peak that watches over this land. The trek leads through dense pine and oak forests, terraced farmlands and vibrant local villages like Tipling, home to the Tamang community. These people live in harmony with nature, cultivating crops and raising livestock while keeping their rich traditions alive, welcoming visitors with warm hospitality and cultural performances. The striking Pangsang Pass at 3,800 meters marks a stunning milestone on the route, offering panoramic views of the green-clad hills and distant Himalayan ranges. Below, forests of tall sal trees stand as silent guardians. As travelers traverse this landscape, they witness local women harvesting crops, hear the heartfelt songs sung by villagers in the fields, and feel the essence of a life deeply connected to the land. The daily sight of Ganesh Himal inspires awe and a sense of peace that visitors carry with them. Ruby Valley lies in the heart of the Himalayas, surrounded by some of Nepal's most famous mountain ranges, Manaslu, Annapurna, Langtang and Ganesh Himal itself. This geographic embrace creates breathtaking scenery at every turn. Yak caravans and mule trains add a touch of timeless charm to the trekking experience, enhancing the rustic beauty of this remote land. The village of Chalis, nestled in the lap of Ganesh Himal, is a cultural crossroads for the Gurung community. Visitors witness their unique traditions, hear their folk songs by evening fires, and enjoy their vibrant dances, which invite travelers to connect on a deeper level. The journey continues beyond the villages to sacred sites like Tatopani Kunda, where natural hot springs offer spiritual purification and healing waters believed to renew body and soul. From there, hikers embark on a challenging yet rewarding trek to the holy Ganesh Kunda, a glacial pond named after Lord Ganesh. This pristine water body mirrors the majestic peaks around it, creating an ethereal panorama that captivates all those who visit. With peaks ascending over 7,400 meters, Ganesh Himal stands as a guardian of this sacred valley. Ruby Valley is more than a destination. It is an invitation to experience Nepal's untouched nature, vibrant cultures, and spiritual heritage all in one journey. For those seeking a unique adventure off the beaten path, Ruby Valley offers an unparalleled blend of breathtaking landscapes, warm hospitality, and rich traditions that make it one of Nepal's top destinations for international and domestic travelers.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Newar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
Hello there, welcome to Geopod. South Asia is home to a fifth of humanity, yet remains one of the least integrated regions in the world. For 4 decades, SAARC has carried the promise of cooperation, dialogue, and shared progress, but also the weight of political divisions and unanswered expectations. In this maiden episode of Geopod on NTV World, we look at SAARC's journey, its challenges, and the road ahead, especially as it marks the 40 years since the adoption of the SAARC Charter. And for that, we speak directly with the individual entrusted with keeping that promise alive, His Excellency Mohammad Ghulam Sarwar, the Secretary General of SAARC. Your Excellency, welcome to Geopod.
Thank you so much for inviting me for this interview in the Nepal television. I also thank the Nepal television for inviting me to exchange some thoughts on the occasion of this 40th anniversary of SAARC Charter.
A little over 2 years that you have took on the helm, right? How closely does Kathmandu, like you discovered, matches the Kathmandu you expected?
If you ask me about the expectation from the SAARC point of view, I am not fully pessimistic. I am quite optimistic in the sense that I have discovered, I must say that I have discovered, because most of us are really ignorant about what actually SAARC had so much made progress in the last 40 years, and what are the promises that we had made, by our leaders 40 years ago. So SAARC has really have a very strong foundation. In last 40 years, SAARC has made a very deep-rooted, presence in the whole region through various declarations, various agreements, and various MOU, which are very much important to realize the charter objective of SAARC. So I just want to name few of those, like agreements on the South Asian Free Trade Area, SAFTA, then the SAARC Preferential Trade Arrangement, SAFTA, SAARC Food Security Reserve, Mutual Administrative Assistance on Customs Matter, Avoidance of Double Taxation, Mutual Administrative Assistance on Tax Matters, Establishment of SAARC Food Bank, Agreement on the Trade Services, Establishment of SAARC Seed Bank, Mutual Agreement on the Recognition of the Conformity Assessment, Rapid Response to the Natural Disaster, Framework Agreement on Energy Cooperation. These are very important, as you would agree with me. And then moreover, we also had a lot of memorandum and convention, like declaration also on the protocol on the field of terrorism, drug control, child welfare, environment, natural disaster, criminal matters, trafficking of women and children, and above all the SAARC Charter. So we have so many important instruments in place in the SAARC process, which were very important for the success of SAARC. So that's why I am really optimistic that still we have, based on this foundation, we can build and go ahead. We must be quite happy that we have been able to come to understanding with among all countries on a consensus basis on all these instruments that we have. So the shortcomings or the frustration, if you say, that we could have achieved much more than what we have now. That is, in short, I can tell you.
Right. I mean, a part of SAARC's mandate, certainly, it was built on a foundational optimism, which is so very reflective on what you've just shared, and even the spirit that you carry so far, right? Cooperation free from bilateral tensions, I believe, also was one of the mandates that were to be included. But reality has often been, more complicated than what was envisioned back then, 40 years ago. So in this context, Your Excellency, the Charter envisioned cooperation almost unburdened by bilateral disputes. Yet, geopolitical tensions have very visibly constrained SAARC's collective potential. Do you think the Charter still reflects the region's political and economic realities, or is it time to reimagine SAARC's foundational assumption?
Thank you. This is a very important question. I face everywhere, and this is a difficult question to answer also, because actually over last 2 years I have given a lot of thoughts about this issue. That is this charter self-contained, or it needs some kind of new reflections to be put into. I actually found that this charter had been drafted very well. I mean, given all the geopolitical reality and the reality on the ground in our region, I think this has been, there cannot be any better say, foundational instrument in South Asia. Now the point is whether we are following in true sense the commitments and the desires that we have made 40 years ago. That is a question you can always ask anyone, in the SAARC or in the region. But as far as the charter is concerned, I think, yes, there is always room for improvement with the change of times. We can bring some new elements in the, say, our terms of reference, and how we can achieve the chartered goal. That can be also looked at. But I don't see much problem with the charter. It's the issue of our commitment. I think we have to have more commitment to the charter.
Right, and this brings me, to the most persistent and very defining bilateral dynamism in this region, right? In every SAARC conversation, Your Excellency, India-Pakistan tensions are the silent elephant in the room. Right. So as a Secretary General of this entity, how do you engineer institutional momentum in a space where political constraints routinely overshadow regional consensus?
Thank you. Actually, after my took over, I have been to all the countries of the region, except Afghanistan, of course, due to the situation there, I could not go. But in each and every individual countries, the leadership and the civil society, the high officials I met, I received the similar kind of commitment to the SAARC process, and similar kind of expectation they are still holding. I'm sure the good time will come. Although, as you say, have raised about the tension between two member countries, I think besides all these bilateral issues, we can still go ahead. It is up to our leadership to decide when to go ahead. They are also quite, I must say that, quite competent in their in their position, having a lot of experience, and they know when to give us a signal to go ahead. So I'm still very much optimistic, because the amount of resilience and the goodwill that I have seen in each and every member countries, I don't see any reason to be frustrated on this. Only thing is, this is a temporary phenomena we are passing through. We have to have little patience to come out of this situation.
If you could shed light, is SAARC structurally dependent on political harmony, or rather than designed to manage conflict?
No, rather I should say that it is designed, it is also, there is inbuilt design in the SAARC Charter to manage the conflict. Like if we have, say, bilateral differences between two countries, they may not be able to sit bilaterally. But there is a scope under the SAARC to sit regularly, to discuss in the sideline about the contentious bilateral issues and come to a common ground. I think SAARC is offering excellent forum for even discuss about the difficult bilateral issues and come to a conclusion.
And beyond internal dynamics, because we've come to a point of time where everything is affecting everything elsewhere, right? So beyond these internal dynamics of the region itself, Your Excellency, the regional equation is also shaped by major external powers, right? So with let me be very specific, with China expanding influence through the BRI project, and infrastructure diplomacy and emerging security ties with several South Asian countries, how does SAARC assert its own regional agenda?
I think there is no problem to see more regional and sub-regional cooperation to say take shape, because in the SAARC Charter, rather the sub-regional cooperation involving 2 or more member countries have been actually encouraged in the SAARC Charter. That's why I'm saying that this charter was very much visionary. They have considered all the aspect, what it can happen after 40 years, after 50 years. So it was well designed, and in the charter it is encouraged by the member states to form the sub-regional cooperation among the member states, or with 2 or more member states. In that case, they can also sometimes consider the extended neighbors in that forum. There is no harm for that. So this can be complementary to each other. Yeah, I don't see there is any challenge in this. Rather, if we can work in a harmony with other regional and sub-regional organizations, we can make faster development in the SAARC region.
So could you shed a little more light on how SAARC can maintain its central role at a time when external actors, or in your very own terminology, extended actors are increasingly shaping, South Asia's strategic choices? How does SAARC maintain its central role?
Now, I think if we are united in our commitment that we have made 40 years ago, I don't think there any kind of say global situation, of course, will affect all countries. There is no denial of the fact that because we are so interconnected now globally to each other. So anything happen to our extended neighborhood or even beyond the region will directly or indirectly affect us. So having said that, I think if we are fully aware of the potentials that we have within the region, and if we sincerely work to get the benefit out of those, I think SAARC is still the best answer.
Now let's turn to the economic front, Your Excellency, an area or a domain where the region holds great promises because it's one of the most rapidly rising regions in the world. Yet the delivery has been far below the potential. Intra-SAARC trade, if you look at the figures, well below 6%, which is again one of the lowest in the entire world. What structural or political barriers are creating or holding SAARC back?
You are absolutely right that the intra-regional trade in SAARC is really quite low, which is between 5 and 6%, and the potential, as you have said, is tremendous. Currently, the intra-regional trade between SAARC is around 20 odd billion, around 23 billion or so. But according to a World Bank estimate, if we can remove only few small barriers in the SAARC process, it can grow to almost 67%. That not 67, 67 billion, from 23 billion to 67 billion in 5 years. That means it will be almost tripled. So there, I think, if we keep aside all the, say, contentious issues and go ahead and give importance to the trade, I think that would be the best way to go ahead.
With the world reorganizing the supply chains, Your Excellency, can SAARC seize the opportunity to becoming a competitive regional hub? What are the prospect areas that you see?
Yes, those global scenarios, especially in the trade regime, is, I think, indirectly bringing trade within the region. So since we are facing challenge of having trade with the West due to the new tariff rules, especially in the United States, I think it is a time for us to rethink and also redesign our plan in the SAARC and increase the SAARC intra-SAARC trade. I think this can be taken as an opportunity. What we are seeing in the other region, like in our extended neighbor, the ASEAN is doing that way, and they are trying to utilize their strength within the region. And China is also trying to have strengthen their trade partnership with the ASEAN and others. I think this is a also big opportunity for us for increasing the intra-regional trade and the trade with the eastern our eastern neighbors like the ASEAN, China, Japan, Korea, all those countries.
Mm-hmm. Let's now switch to an issue where borders do not matter. Look at our region; it is ground zero for climate vulnerability. Why hasn't the shared climate challenge translated into shared climate strategy under the SAARC banner?
No, actually, I would like to add something here with your comment. SAARC is, I think, the climate change took a center stage in the SAARC process. Our leaders in 2010 in the Thimphu summit, we have adopted the Thimphu Statement of Climate Change, where we have laid out our plan how to deal with this climate challenges together as a region, because it is sometimes only the regional effect. Initiative may not be enough sometimes, because as you said that it doesn't have any border. We have to have greater cooperation in the international level. That's why I have mentioned earlier that are we actually working together as we have envisioned in our charter, that the strengthening cooperation among the member states in the international forums on the matter of common interest. So this is a matter of common interest. I think time has come for the SAARC to sit again and also draw a common strategy how we will negotiate our position in the COP and other climate related forum. First, we have to consolidate our strategy within ourselves, which we are doing actually through the Thimphu Statement of Climate Change. The SAARC Secretariat had arranged in last 2 years several capacity building and also initiatives, and then those are enhance the capacity of SAARC member states, assess the viability of institutions of SAARC Climate Fund, and also frame a regional response to the transboundary air pollution. So we are working at the expert level to draw a plan for the region, so that in course of time it can be voiced in the international forum like COPs and other climate related initiatives.
Mm-hmm. So directly or indirectly related with climate change or the vulnerability that this phenomena brings around is migration. And I think this is one of the major they say it cuts both ways, but many see it as a major issue facing the South Asian region. That's migration, right? So millions of South Asians are at the moment migrating within and beyond the region. Demographic shifts are really reshaping economies and societies inside South Asia already, having a lot of repercussions and long-term effects. Could SAARC envision a framework, Your Excellency, for safe, legal and mutually beneficial mobility?
Yes, actually in the recent initiatives of SAARC, I think leaders have also discussed about the safe and orderly migration, which is of course regarding the migration of the SAARC member countries nationals to the outside world. So there is scope for further cooperation in this. But if you talk about the intra-regional migration, I don't know exactly what is the number. I don't think it is too big, and those are quite temporary because of some situations arises in some of the countries for political reason or something. Sometimes people go and they come back again to their home. So those are not very permanent kind of thing, what I believe. But if we look holistically about the global migration scenario, I think South Asia still have a lot of potentials, and I think South Asia is the largest region in terms of the global migration, because we contribute to almost maybe half of the global migration by the South Asian population in the Middle East, even in the Western countries, in Malaysia and Singapore and all other countries.
So do you mean migration is not one among the major issues that should be troubling the region at the moment? No, if we talk about the outward migration outside the region, I think there is a lot of potentials still there, and if we work together to draw a common plan for the South Asians to protect our migrants who are going to work abroad, that would be then it will strengthen our position in the receiving countries, because we know that in some of the receiving countries our people are not getting their rights properly. So if we can work together, I think we can have a very strong policy as a regional policy through which we can negotiate with the receiving countries where our people are going in large number and working, and sometimes they are not getting enough their rights and the support that they desire for. So is SAARC even thinking about incorporating in pursuing any sort of efforts to this effect?
Yes, it is very much there in the SAARC agenda.
Okay, so let me move on to your own institutional sphere, Your Excellency. Critics let me quote them, often say that the Secretariat lacks teeth, meaning you have to function under limited resources, limited autonomy and limited mandate. That's what the critics have been on and off saying, right? So what reforms do you believe are essential for the SAARC to deliver real impact in the next decade?
You see, reform is always an ongoing process. So SAARC Secretariat has also made a lot of, very strong contribution in the SAARC's 40 years of journey. So since we are not actually having the higher level meetings like summit, Council of Ministers, so this interim period, it is always difficult to keep the professionalism among the staffs. So we are quite mindful about it, and from the Secretariat we are trying to keep our, especially from my position, I'm trying to keep my colleagues engaged with the international other international forums, so that our professional competency doesn't get affected due to the lack of higher level interactions or higher level meetings.
So as you said, SAARC summits have remained stalled for many years now, and that is the prime and the core concern for the region and even the institution itself. So Do you see or foresee a political opening for their revival?
As I said initially, as a diplomat, I'm always optimistic, and diplomacy and dialogue is the best way to resolve any stalemate in any situation. So I am fully optimistic, and there is nothing called the last word in politics. So I'm sure things will get momentum. Maybe we have to have some more passions.
At the moment, as we are holding this conversation, Your Excellency, we cannot do away without talking the shift that the region is at the moment seeing some unprecedented episodes. Just a quick recall across Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, recently we witnessed a generational jolt, right? Youth-led mobilizations which strongly demanded accountability, transparency, and a dismantling of the entrenched political cultures, quote unquote. Do you see this generational awakening, as they call it, Gen Z awakening, as a disruptive force, or do you see it as a democratic correction?
I see in both ways. I think we, in the SARC, we have given enough importance to the youth, children and the women. So if we continue to follow up with those initiatives that we have taken under the SARC umbrella, I can assure you that things will get much better. Here, if you say Gen Z or the youth movement, whatever name you call it, actually there is a big generational shift we have seen because of the technological advancement and the free flow of information. So the new generation now, they are quite informed now. Sometimes they are, it can be positively informed or negatively informed because of some say media and social media's intervention. It cuts sometimes both ways. So if we have free and open dialogue with the new generations, and as we continue it on a regular basis, I think because their concern needs to be seen and also addressed. That's what they want. So if we take initiative beforehand, so the cost of these kind of movements will come much less, or this kind of movement will not happen even.
And this generation that we are talking of, this is not only loud on the streets, right? It's loud online. And the digital landscape, certainly we need to admit, that has turned South Asia's youth into a hyper-connected political force. Movements now cross borders, through narratives, through shares, through statements, and through solidarity. So how does institutions like SARC engage with a generation that organizes in real time and demands results with urgency?
Yes, we actually, from the SARC, especially from the SARC Secretariat, we always wait for the guidance and from our leaders. So I definitely expect that our leaders will meet and also draw a common plan for the SARC region, how to deal with this and how to secure the future of the next generation. Actually, by securing their future, we are securing our future also, because our future will be on their hand. They will take our place very soon. So if we look into it in a very positive framework and continuously engaged and see what are their concerns, and if we try to address those, I think we can create a much better situation.
And this brings us to a point, or to the idea of imagining SARC, not of the past, but of the future, Your Excellency. If you were to design SARC 2.0, right, that speaks directly to South Asia's Gen Z, what would be the core pillars of this reimagined institution?
We have to assure our new generation a better future, not only assurance, we have to deliver it in reality. So in order to do that, I'm sure our leadership are constantly working on this. Definitely we will see much better South Asia in the coming days.
Mm-hmm. That's great optimism, and we really look forward to that, Your Excellency. So finally, let's leave our viewers with a very forward-looking vision from your leadership. If you could articulate a bold, future-facing vision for SAARC at its 50 years milestone, about 10 years from now, one that transcends the political hesitation and reflects the aspirations of 1.8 billion people living here, what would it be?
Okay. Actually, it's 10 years down the line. 10 years is quite a long time. I don't expect that situation will remain same in 10 years. There will be a lot of changes, and change for good. Definitely, I'm quite optimistic, quite sure about it. So in 10 years, there will be at least 3 Secretary General after me on the SAARC. So I'm sure they will also have the opportunity to work for the SAARC 2.0, as you have just mentioned. There I will give special focus on the trade. If we can materialize the SAFTA in its true spirit, I think the situation, especially the economic situation, will in the region will take a dramatic shift. As I said, from 23 billion to 67 billion in only 5 years. Maybe in 10 years we can reach to 100 billion marks. So when the economic situation changes, so automatically you will see the effect in the society, and you will see a whole new South Asia after 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Your Excellency, for taking out the time to come over and share with us your very valued insights and thoughts.
Thank you so much for inviting me and also share my thoughts.
Right. Reaping from the conversation we just had, SAARC stands at a crossroads, torn between conflict and cooperation, yet still holding the possibility of unity, standing strong on the foundations of optimism. Today's conversation very well reflects that regional peace and prosperity depend not only on governments, but on vision, dialogue, and commitment. Therefore, the future of South Asia remains a story still being written. That's it from Geopod this time. Until next time, goodbye.
The gorgeous temple of Changu Narayan holds greater significance among the 4 Narayan temples located in different cardinal points of Kathmandu Valley. It is situated on a magnificent hilltop about 16 kilometers northeast of Kathmandu in the Bhaktapur district. Changu Narayan is known for its majestic temple complex, full of magnificent artworks in stone, metal, and wood. As an important heritage site of archaeological and cultural importance, with a history of nearly 1700 years, Changu Narayan was designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site in October 1979. By then, it also received the attention of international observers abroad. One of the first substantial epigraphic evidences of Nepalese history was found in the temple premises consecrated by Lichavi King Mandev, dating back to 464 AD. It shows that Changu Narayan was already developed as an important sacred place long before his time. There are various myths and legends regarding the origin of Changu Narayan. As detailed in the Vansavalis, Changu had already been established as a sacred site around 3rd century AD. The Ichangu inscription of Vijaya Kamdev, dated 1199 AD, informs that the temple was built by the king Haridatta Varma, happened to be 9th generations before Mandev. The time of Haridatta Varma is estimated as early as 325 AD.
यो काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल चाहिँ 1979 मा नेपालको तर्फबाट विश्व सम्पदाको रूपमा चाहिँ सूचीकृत भएको थियो र त्यसमा चाहिँ अपरेसनल गाइडलाइन अब भनौँ न नेपालले 1972 को चाहिँ वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज कन्भेन्सन भन्ने जुन कन्भेन्सन थियो त्यो कन्भेन्सनमा चाहिँ साइन गरिसकेपछि 78 मा साइन गर्यो र 76 मा साइन गरेर 78 मा चाहिँ नेपालले पठाएको थियो र त्यतिखेर पठाउँदाखेरि नेपालले यो सांस्कृतिक सम्पदाको तर्फबाट काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल र प्राकृतिकको तर्फबाट चाहिँ सगरमाथा राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्जलाई चाहिँ यो सूचीमा सूचीकरण गर्नको लागि पठाएको थियो। त्यो मध्ये चाहिँ अपरेसनल गाइडलाइनको अनुसार क्राइटेरिया 3, 4 र 6 जुन चाहिँ एकदमै असाध्यै विश्वव्यापी महत्त्व भएको भनेर जुन आउटस्ट्यान्डिङ युनिभर्सल भ्याल्यू भनेर भन्छौँ, हामीले यो 3वटा क्राइटेरियाको आधारमा नेपाल सरकारले तत्कालीन अवस्थामा चाङ्गु नारायण सहित बाँकी 6वटा सम्मिलित भएको समावेश भएको चाहिँ काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल भनेर चाहिँ सूचीकरण को लागि प्रस्ताव गरेको थियो 78 मा र 79 को सेसनले चाहिँ वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज कमिटीको सेसन भनेको बैठक ले चाहिँ यसलाई सूचीकृत गर्ने चाहिँ निर्णय गरेको थियो। त्यसैले यो एज ए होल 7वटा 7 in 1 वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज प्रपर्टी भनेर भन्छौँ हामी। यो काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल चाहिँ त्यसरी चाहिँ विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा चाहिँ सूचीकरण भएको थियो।
चाङ्गु भनेको चाहिँ एउटा हामीसँग एकदम पुरानो प्राचीन स्थल पनि हो त्यहाँ हैन। त्यहाँ चाहिँ धेरैवटा अभिलेखहरू छ, जम्मी त्यहाँको अभिलेखहरू सम्पूर्ण चाङ्गुसँग सम्बन्धित अभिलेखहरू, चाङ्गुमा भएका अभिलेखहरू, भण्डारभित्र भएका सबै अभिलेख हेर्ने हो भने करिब हामीसँग 360वटा अभिलेखहरू छ चाङ्गु एरियामा मात्रै, त्योसँग रिलेटेड अभिलेखहरू हैन। र त्यसमध्ये अहिलेसम्म प्राप्त सबभन्दा पुरानो अभिलेख भनेको मानदेवको 386 को अभिलेख हो हैन। त्यो भनेको राजा मानदेवले आफ्नो विजयपछि जब सामन्तहरू सबैलाई कब्जा गरिसकेपछि राखेको अभिलेख हो। यो अभिलेख चाहिँ एउटा स्तम्भमा छ त्यहाँ र त्यो अभिलेखमा चाहिँ लिच्छवी लिपिमा लेखिएको छ र संस्कृत भाषामा लेखिएको छ, एकदम प्योर संस्कृत भाषामा लेखिएको छ, राम्रो एकदम शुद्ध भाषामा लेखिएको छ। र त्यसमा चाहिँ उसले राजा मानदेवले जब पूर्व र पश्चिमको सामन्तहरूलाई दबाइसकेपछि उसले विजय स्तम्भको रूपमा त्यसलाई स्थापना गरेको हो। र यो अभिलेखलाई चाहिँ अहिलेसम्म हामीसँग धेरै विवरण, हामीसँग हुन त लिच्छवी कालका त्योभन्दा पुराना अभिलेखहरू पनि छन् हैन। र जस्तै दोस्रो शताब्दीको जय वर्माको सम्मत 160 को अभिलेख छ हामीसँग, अनि त्यसपछि 381 को अभिलेखहरू पनि छन्, तर त्यसमा चाहिँ विवरण एकदम छोटो छोटोमा छ। तर यो अभिलेख भनेको सम्पूर्ण विवरण लिच्छवी वंशको, जस्तै मानदेवले आफ्नो वंश समेत 3 पुस्ता समेत उल्लेख गरेर लेखेको र आफ्नो आमाको समेत नाम उल्लेख गरेर राखेको अभिलेख भएकोले त्यो बेलाको सिनेरीहरू, त्यो बेलाको इतिहास, धर्म, संस्कृतिहरू धेरै भएको अभिलेखमा भएको हुनाले यो अभिलेख चाहिँ विशेष महत्त्वपूर्ण छ। नेपालकै सन्दर्भमा पनि यो अभिलेख चाहिँ विशेष महत्त्वपूर्ण छ।
चाङ्गु नारायण क्षेत्रमा भएका मन्दिर या मन्दिर वरिपरिका अन्य स्मारक र पुरातात्विक वस्तुहरूको हामीले संरक्षण सम्वर्धनलाई हाई प्रायोरिटी दिएर चाहिँ काम अगाडि बढाएका छौँ। हाम्रो भक्तपुरमा स्मारक संरक्षण तथा दरबार हेरचाह कार्यालय अफिस छ, युनिट अफिस छ। त्यो युनिट अफिसको कामै के हो भने भक्तपुर वा विश्व सम्पदा स्थल चाँगुनारायण समेतको हाम्रो जुन कार्यक्षेत्र छ, हाम्रो मापदण्ड छ, त्यो मापदण्ड कार्यक्षेत्र अनुसार सञ्चालन, व्यवस्थापन, संरक्षण गर्नु नै यसको मुख्य कार्य हो। र त्यो अफिस युनिट अफिसबाट ती कार्यहरू त्यहाँ भइरहेको छ। त्यही कारणले नै हामीलाई युनेस्कोले भूकम्प पछिको पुनर्निर्माण या भूकम्प पछिको स्ट्याटस क्लियर गर्ने सन्दर्भमा त्यो अफिस र स्वयं पुरातत्व विभागले त्यसको संरक्षण कार्य अगाडि बढाएको अवस्था छ।
मानदेवले राखेको गरुड स्तम्भ पछि गएर कालान्तरमा विभिन्न कारणले त्यो भाँच्यो। भाँच्एपछि त्यो स्तम्भमाथि रहेको गरुड चाहिँ नि भुइँमा झर्यो। जुन तपाईँले गरुड देख्नुहुन्छ चाँगुनारायणको ठ्याक्कै मन्दिर अगाडि हात जोडेर बसेको मानव आकार छ, अनि पछाडि प्वाख बनाइया छ हैन। त्यसले पखेटाहरूले त्यो गरुड चाहिँ नि सम्भवतया मानदेवले नै चढाएको भन्ने मानिन्छ। त्यो कलामा डेफिनेटली हामीले के मथुरा शैलीको देख्छौँ। त्यो गरुडको जुङ्गा पनि बनाएको देख्नुहुन्छ, माथि एउटा सानो डोरीले बाँधेर क्लिपहरू लगाएको एउटा मुकुटको जस्तै किसिमका त्यो देखिन्छ। सम्भवतया त्यो मानदेवकै प्रतिमूर्तिको रूपमा त्यही उसको पर्सनालिटी अनुसार, उसको जीवडाल अनुसार गरुड बनाइएको हो भन्ने एक थरीको भनाइ छ।
रङरोगन त बासी योजना होइन, यो 61 वर्षपछि भएको यो भगवान् नारायणले नै पुजारी नियुक्ति गरेको हुनाले त्यो वंश परम्परागत अहिले हामी चाहिँ यहाँ पुजारी बनिएका छौँ र त्यही वंशमा मात्रै पूजा गर्नुपर्ने भएको हुनाले यहाँका पुजारीले आफ्नो बुवा आमा बित्नु भए पनि जुठो बार्न पाइन्न। यहाँ अविच्छिन्न रूपमा चाहिँ पूजा चलाउनुपर्छ। त्यो चलन अहिलेसम्म चलिआएको छ। मन्दिर 4:30-5 बजे खोलिसकेका हुन्छ। भडेलहरूले नित्य पूजाको लागि छुट्टै धारा छ, नारायण टी भन्छौँ हामी, त्यहाँबाट चोखपानी ल्याएर त्यो चोखपानी ल्याएर पनि एउटा कठिन छ। चोखपानी ल्याउँदाखेरि कोही बिसाएर थाप्न नहुने होइन, अनि कसैले छुनु नहुने, नाङ्गो खुट्टा यहाँसम्म हिँडेर आउनुपर्ने। अनि यहाँ ल्याएर मन्दिर खोलिसकेपछि अनि चोखपानी भित्रिआएर त्यहाँ पूजा सामान तयार भइसकेपछि करिब 8-9 बजेतिर प्रायः भगवान्को पूजा हुन्छ। पूजा षोडशोपचारले हुन्छ। अनि त्यो पूजा पश्चात चाहिँ हामीले खिर नैवेद्य पनि चलाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ। पहिला मन्दिर बन्द हुन्थ्यो, अब त बन्द हुन छोड्यो। अहिले त प्रायः दिनभर नै खोल्छ र साँझ चाहिँ नित्य आरती पनि हुन्छ र यो पूजा आरती गर्दा यो बाजा बजाउने चलन पनि छ।
लिच्छवीकालीन मूर्तिकलाको विशेषता चाहिँ नि के छ भने मास कलरको हुन्छ, मास रङको, ब्ल्याक बेसल्ट भन्छ त्यो ढुङ्गाको क्वालिटी, सारो ढुङ्गाबाट बनाएको हुन्छ र त्यसमा मास रङको चाहिँ नि लेपन गरेको देखिन्छ। त्यसपछि मूर्ति बनाइन्थ्यो, किनभने मूर्तिको त्यो खुट्टाको हातको कापा भित्र पनि त्यो पलिसिङ गरेको देखिन्छ। त्यो सम्भवतः पहिला ढुङ्गामा नगरिकन त्यसरी त भित्रभित्र गर्न त गाह्रो हुन्छ पलिसिङ गर्न। त्यसकारण उनीहरूले घोटेर ढुङ्गालाई चाहिँ नि पहिला बनाएपछि अनि त्यसपछि त्यो ढुङ्गालाई घोटेर तयार पारेपछि अनि उनीहरूले मूर्ति कुद्या हुनुपर्छ। स्ट्रङ्गेस्ट टेक्नोलोजी उनीहरूले युज गरेको देखिन्छ।
अंशु वर्माको अभिलेख छ, जुन चाहिँ गरुड अहिलेको तपाईँले त्यहाँ चाङ्गुमा जानुभयो भने ठ्याक्क त्यसको गरुडको पछाडि एउटा अंशु वर्मा र शिवदेवको अभिलेख पनि छ। त्यो अभिलेख पनि लिच्छवीकालको सामाजिक व्यवस्था अर्थव्यवस्थाहरू बुझ्नको लागि चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण अभिलेख हो। र अर्को महत्त्वपूर्ण अभिलेख भनेको गरुडको पाटपीठमा जुन हाम्रो लिच्छवीकालको चाङ्गु नारायणको पाटपीठमा रहेको जुन अभिलेख छ नि, त्यसमा चाहिँ त्यो चाङ्गु नारायणको जुन मूर्ति स्थापना गरेको त्यसको जीर्णोद्धार गरेको सम्बन्धी चाहिँ त्यो अभिलेखमा चाहिँ उल्लेख छ। अभिलेखहरू अध्ययन गर्ने, तिनीहरूको विश्लेषण गर्ने, तिनीहरूको लिप्यान्तर गर्ने, प्रतिलिपि उतार गर्ने, तिनीहरूको सङ्कलन गर्ने कामहरू अभिलेखालयले गर्छ। र जस अनुसार हामीले त्यहाँको अभिलेखहरू लिप्यान्तर गरेर अथवा उतार गरेर ल्याएर तिनीहरूको प्रतिलिपि चाहिँ यहाँ सुरक्षित गरिसकेको छ। पुरै लिप्यान्तर गरेर भाषान्तर गरेर पब्लिस पनि भइसकेको छ त्यो जुन चाङ्गुको अभिलेख छ।
रामको वर्ण हैन, अनि यो जस्तै अब नारायणको वर्ण के हो, यहाँ बाजेहरू हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूसँग बसेर सल्लाह गरेर अनि वर्ण अनुसारको हामीले चाहिँ यो कलर गर्ने हो। अब जस्तै कि यो चाहिँ श्रीराम, यो श्रीराम उहाँको चाहिँ यो अलि निलो आकाशी वर्णको हुन्छ। अब माथि भयो नरसिंह सेतो वर्णको, यतापट्टि चाहिँ वामन वर्ण भयो, वामन चाहिँ हाम्रो स्किन कलर अरेन्ज कलरको, यो सबै त्यहाँ चाहिँ वर्णहरू हुन्छ अनि त्यही अनुसारले हामीले गर्ने हो। कुन्नाको चाहिँ हरियो कलरको कोरा। अब घोराको सिम किन राखेको भन्दा घोरा चाहिँ यो उड्ने घोरा, नेवार भाषाबाट बोसल भन्छ, बलियो पनि। उसले यो मन्दिरको पुरा यो छत हुन्छ नि उसको भारै उसले बोकेको छ कुन्ना कुमार 4 कुन्नाले। त्यही भएर उसको त्यो अनुहारको आकृति पनि अलि रिसाएको जस्तो, अलि उसलाई गाह्रो भएको जस्तो फिल गरेर नै बनाएको छ, राम्रो नै बनाएको छ। सबभन्दा पहिला चाङ्गु नारायण पछि शेष नारायण पछि विसुङ्गु नारायण पछि तपाईँको इचङ्गु नारायण राखेको छ लाइनै। अनि बिचमा चाहिँ तपाईँको यमराजको चाहिँ तुराल राखिएको छ यहाँ ठ्याक्कै दक्षिणतिर फर्काएर। यो यमराजको चाहिँ हटबाट अरू मन्दिरमा चाहिँ पाइँदैन, यहाँ चाहिँ राखिएको छ। अनि पछि पश्चिममा चाहिँ तपाईँको वरुणको राखेको छ। वरुण भनेपछि नागको राजा। मत्स्य नारायण, वराह, नरसिंह लाइनै मिलाएर राखिएको छ। अनि तपाईँ फेरि दक्षिणबाट अब तपाईँ उत्तर दिशा जानुभयो भने वामनको तपाईँले तुनार हेर्नुहोस् है, 3वटा खुट्टा हालेको छ। जुन चित्र छ यो कलाकारले बनाएको काठको, त्यो कहीँ पनि पाउँदैन, यही चाङ्गु नारायणमा पाउँछ। कृष्णको छ, रामको, परशुरामको लाइनै मूर्तिहरू राखेको छ। पूर्व दिशामा जानुभयो भने भगवान बुद्धको मूर्ति त्यो स्वरूपमा त्यो चित्रमा जुन राखेको छ, ठ्याक्कै अनुहार चाहिँ नारायण विष्णुकै राखेको छ। स्तूपा समाधि रहेको छ, तपाईँले त्यहाँ हेर्नुहुन्छ। त्यो चाहिँ हाम्रो के भन्छ, नारायणजी चाहिँ हाम्रो यो बुद्ध भगवानको स्वरूपमा राखेको छ।
हाम्रो चाङ्गु नारायण भने विष्णु धर्म अथवा वैष्णव धर्मको मुख्य थलो हो भनेपछि त्यसलाई चाहिँ फेरि बुद्धिस्टहरूले चाहिँ तपाईँको पनि लोकेश्वरको रूपमा पूजा गर्छन् त्यहाँ हैन। भनेपछि बुद्धिस्ट र हिन्दूको एउटा चाहिँ संयोजन, धार्मिक संयोजनको साथसाथै त्यहाँबाट आउने त्यो कलशलाई वा चाहिँ नारायणको प्रतीकात्मक स्वरूपलाई हनुमान ढोका ल्याउने र चाहिँ कुमारीले समेत दर्शन गर्ने र कुमारीको दर्शन जो त्यहाँ आफ्नै किसिमको विधि परम्परा छ र त्यो कलशको दर्शन गर्नलाई त्यहाँका अरू अब के अरे धर्मावलम्बीहरू जो चाहिँ त्यो धर्म आस्था राख्नुहुन्छ उहाँहरू आएर चाहिँ धर्म दर्शनका कुराहरू अथवा त्यो कलशको दर्शन गर्ने परम्परा अहिले पनि छ। यसले चाहिँ एकातिर भक्तपुर र कान्तिपुरको एउटा राम्रो सम्बन्धको स्थापना गर्छ भनेपछि पछि तपाईँको पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले काठमाडौँ अट्याक गरेर नयाँ राज्य अथवा नेपाल राज्य स्थापना गर्ने सन्दर्भमा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले यहाँ आएका चलन मैले अघि भने थिएँ प्रथा धर्मलाई कुनै पनि उनले चाहिँ हस्तक्षेप गरेनन्, सबैलाई स्वीकारे र एज ए स्टेट हेड रूपमा उनको वासस्थान त्यहाँ भएको नाताले चाहे मल्ल राजाहरूले पनि त्यहीँबाट सुरु गरे, त्यसपछि पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले पनि त्यही त्यो कामलाई कन्टिन्यू दिएको अवस्था पाइन्छ।
यहाँको मुख्य यात्रा भनेको वैशाखमा हुन्छ र त्यो यात्रा यहाँको लागि होइन कि यो चाहिँ पारी काठमाडौँ जिल्लाका दाँछी, ब्रह्मखेल, थली, इन्द्रायणी, भद्रवास आदि ठाउँ पनि यो यात्रा चल्छ। हामी यहाँबाट कलश बोकेर खाली पेट हिँडेर हामी जमल पुग्छौँ, काठमाडौँ जमल पुग्छौँ। अनि जमलसम्म चाहिँ यहाँको बाजा जान्छन्। अनि जमल पुगेपछि यहाँको बाजा फर्किन्छ। त्यहाँ गुरुजीको पल्टनले हामीलाई स्वागत गर्छ। त्यहाँबाट पूजा सामान्य पूजा भएपछि हामी चाहिँ गुरुजीको पल्टन सँगसँगै हामी चाहिँ हनुमानढोका पुग्छौँ। अनि त्यहाँ जीवित देवी कुमारीको आगमन हुन्छ। अनि उहाँको उपस्थितिमा हामीले लसकुश स्वागत गरेर दरबार भित्राइन्छ र त्यहाँको पूजा पश्चात चाहिँ अनि राष्ट्र प्रमुखका हामी दर्शन गर्नु पहिला राजाका जान्थ्यौँ, अहिले राष्ट्रपतिका जान्छौँ।
कला वस्तु प्रविधिसँग गाँसिएको हाम्रो इन्टेन्जिबल पाटो, अभौतिक पाटो, त्यसको पूजा व्यवस्था, धर्म, आस्था, जात्रा जो अविच्छिन्न रूपले चलिआएका छन्, त्यसको मूल्य मान्यता अहिले पनि त्यहाँका जनता या समग्र ती धर्मावलम्बीहरूसित अविच्छिन्नता रूपले चलिआएको छ। र त्यो इन्टिग्रिटी, त्यो अथेन्टिसिटी, त्यो चाहिँ त्यसको समग्रमा त्यसको आउटस्ट्यान्डिङ युनिभर्सल भ्यालीलाई हामीले कायम गर्न सक्या हुनाले युनेस्कोले त्यसलाई विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा राखेको। विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा राख्नुको तात्पर्य पनि त्यो हो कि ती विषय वस्तु चाहिँ राष्ट्रिय मात्र नभएर अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय महत्त्वका विषयवस्तु बनुन्।
चाङ्गु नारायणमा एउटा विष्णु विश्वरूपको मूर्ति छ। त्यो मूर्तिको तल पाताल लोक देखाइएको छ, नागकन्याहरू छन्। त्यसपछि पृथ्वीले दुईटा काँधमा स्त्री रूपमा पृथ्वीलाई प्रतिनिधित्व गरेका छ। काँधमा दुईटा पाइताला राखेर भगवान् विष्णु उभ्या छन्। त्योभन्दा माथि विभिन्न दिक्पालहरू, अन्य सूर्य चन्द्र, अझ माथि गएपछि आकाश, यिनीहरू सबैको प्रतिनिधित्व हुने गरी देवगणहरू, ऋषिगणहरू पनि देखिन्छ। र अर्जुनले चाहिँ हात जोडेर बसेको दृश्य पनि त्यसमा कुँदिएको छ। त्यो मूर्ति साउथ इस्ट एसियामै मलाई जहाँसम्म लाग्छ दुर्लभ मूर्ति हो। देब्रेतिरको चाहिँ नि केही पार्टहरू भाँच्चिएको छ, होइन भने मूर्ति धेरै नै राम्रो छ। त्यो पछि कसरी भाँच्यो भन्ने थाहा हुन सकेको छैन। मुखबाट त्यहाँ मूर्तिमा हेर्नुभयो भने एउटा मान्छे निस्किया देख्नुहुन्छ, त्यो द्याट इज कल्ड ब्राह्मण। अनि बाहुबाट पाखुराबाट चाहिँ नि क्षेत्रीय निस्केको देख्नुहुन्छ। तिघ्राबाट चाहिँ नि त्यसै गरी मान्छे सानो सानो मान्छेको मूर्ति बनाएको छ, त्यो निस्किया देख्नुहुन्छ, जो वैश्य हो। वैश्यपछि पाइतालामा चाहिँ नि खुट्टामा हेर्नुभयो भने त्यहाँ शूद्र निस्केको भनिन्छ। त्यसरी एउटा समाजको स्वरूपलाई पनि उसले चित्रण गरेका छ। उनी सुतेका छन्। विश्वरूपको त्यो मूर्ति निकै नै उत्कृष्ट मानिन्छ। र अब त्यसलाई कसैले 7औं शताब्दी भनिन्छन्, कसैले 8औं, मूर्तिमा लेखिया छैन। तर 8औं शताब्दीतिरको हुनसक्छ भन्ने अनुमान चाहिँ नै हामीले गरेका छौँ। विश्वरूपकै अगाडिपट्टि त्रिविक्रम वामनको मूर्ति पाउनुहुन्छ। त्यो त्रिविक्रम वामन भनेको खुट्टा उचालेर एउटा आकाशतिर फर्काएको, एउटा चाहिँ नि पातालतिर फर्काएको मूर्ति पाउनुहुन्छ, जसमा हामीले अनुमान गर्दाखेरि लगभग हाराहारी 7औं 8औं शताब्दीकै 8औं शताब्दीतिरकै हुनुपर्छ भन्ने एउटा अनुमान चाहिँ गर्छौँ। 8औं शताब्दीतिरकै नरसिंहको मूर्ति पनि त्यहाँ राखेको छ। त्यो पनि सेम ब्ल्याक बासल्टको हो, तर त्यहाँ चाहिँ नि पलिसिङ पनि तपाईँको मास कलरको पलिस गरेर देख्नुहुन्छ। त्यस कारण यो तीनवटा मूर्ति विशेष उल्लेखनीय छन् भने चौथो अर्को मूर्ति पनि त्यहाँ उल्लेखनीय छ, जसलाई गरुड नारायण भनिन्छ। अब भनाइ के छ भने अब भित्र मूर्ति त हेर्न दिन्नन् है, तर त्यहाँभित्र पनि गरुडमा चढेको नारायणकै मूर्ति हो, गरुड नारायण नै हो। त्यस्तै किसिमको गरुडमा विष्णु चढेको एउटा मूर्ति छ, जो हाम्रो 10 रुपियाँको नोटमा पनि तपाईँले छापेको देख्नुहुन्छ। त्यसमा के देखाएको छ भने विष्णुले अनि वाहनमा चढेर उडिरहेको अवस्थामा देखाउने यो प्रचलन धेरै पहिलादेखि नै छ र यिनीहरू यो मूर्ति पनि त्यही पलिसिङको छ अनि शास्त्रमा जस्तो शरीर बयान गरेको छ त्यस्तै अनि हात खुट्टाहरू जस्तै अङ्ग मिलेको भन्छौँ क्या हामी त्यो जति लामो हात हुनुपर्ने हो त्यति लामो हात छ जति लामो खुट्टा हुनुपर्ने त्यस्तो मान्छेको खुट्टा कत्रो हुन्छ उसले त नाइटोदेखि नै नापेर मूर्तिहरू बनाउने माथिल्लो भाग तल्लो भाग कति छ त्यो अनुसारको समायोजन गरेका छ त्यसैले लिच्छवीकालीन मूर्तिहरूमा यो विशेषता चाहिँ नि उत्कृष्ट किसिमको छ
ट्रेडिसनल जुन हामी परम्परागत रूपमा चाहिँ असाध्यै धनी भनेर जुन भन्छौँ अमूर्त सम्पदा अभौतिक सम्पदा त्यो भौतिक र अभौतिक सम्पदा बीचको चाहिँ जुन एउटा लिभिङ नेचर छ लिभिङनेस भनेर जुन हामी चाहिँ यो जीवन्त सम्पदा भन्छौँ त्यो जीवन्त सम्पदा मध्यकालदेखि अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ कन्टिन्यू छ भनेर चाहिँ र त्यो भएकोले गर्दाखेरि संसारमा यस्तो चिज कहीँ पनि छैन यहाँ मात्रै छ त्यसैले यसलाई चाहिँ संसारभरिकै मान्छेको चाहिँ सम्पत्ति हो सम्पदा हो भनेर हामीले चाहिँ दर्ता गऱ्यौँ भनेपछि सूचीकरण गऱ्यौँ भनेपछि त्यही रूपमा चाहिँ हामीले बचाइराख्नु चाहिँ सबभन्दा ठुलो चाहिँ दायित्व हो
चाङ्गु नारायणको मन्दिर चाहिँ मानदेवको पालामा त्यो अभिलेख एकदम स्थापना भइसकेको योभन्दा धेरै अगाडि स्थापना भइसकेको र लोकप्रिय र अब विशेष महत्त्व भएको मन्दिर भनेर हामी बुझ्छौँ किन राजा आफैले विजय स्तम्भ राख्ने विशेष महत्त्वको साथ चाहिँ राजा मानदेवले त्यो ठाउँमा अभिलेख राख्नु भनेको त्यो ठाउँमा पहिलेदेखि नै भव्य मन्दिर थियो त्यहाँ मन्दिर थियो र यो विशेष राजकीय महत्त्वको स्थान थियो त्यो मन्दिर थियो भनेर बुझिन्छ त्यो हेर्दा पनि त्यो मन्दिर राजा मानदेवभन्दा धेरै अगाडि बनिसकेको भन्ने बुझिन्छ वास्तवमा त्यो स्तम्भ अहिलेको ठाउँ चाहिँ ओरिजिनल होइन यतापट्टि तपाईँले मन्दिरको अगाडि हेऱ्यो भने सानो खण्डित अभिलेख छ त्यहाँ भएको हुनुपर्छ त्यो अभिलेख तर विभिन्न अब चट्याङ अथवा विशेष कारणले त्यो थल्यो र त्यो अभिलेख भाँच्यो तर त्यति भाँचिसकेपछि पनि त्यो ढुङ्गाको अभिलेख त सुरक्षित भयो धेरै पार्ट त सुरक्षित छ अहिले त्यो सुरक्षित भएको कारणले त्यो अभिलेख इटसेल्फ सुरक्षित अहिलेको अवस्थामा छ र मान्छेले अभिलेख त्यहाँको स्थानीय लोकलले पनि त्यो अभिलेखको महत्त्व बुझेकोले त्यसलाई चाहिँ क्षति हुने सम्भावना कम छ त्यस्ता अभिलेखहरू चाहिँ हामीले यदि सुरक्षा गर्न सक्यौँ भने हाम्रो इतिहास चाहिँ कालान्तरसम्म जोग्न सक्छ हामीले थाहा पायौँ हाम्रा पछिका पुस्तालाई पनि त्यो हामी बचाइदिनुपर्छ
चाङ्गु नारायण चाहिँ नि वान अफ द बेस्ट हाम्रो चाहिँ नेपालको चाहिँ नि आर्ट आर्किटेक्चर हिस्ट्री को लागि इम्पोर्टेन्ट साइट हो र कल्चर को लागि इम्पोर्टेन्ट साइट हो
During Lichavi period, Changu Narayan was also known as Dola Shikhar, which refers to a mount or hill in the shape of Doli. Gopal Raj Vansavali and the Changu inscription also mention it as Changu, a Newari word that refers to swing like hill. But the evidences show that this particular place was popular as Changu Narayan from the earliest time, and the same name exists in the society till present. This two-storied temple is of basic Nepalese design with possible emphasis given to masterful ornamentation. The temple may have passed through series of restoration. The present structure was probably constructed in the 17th century. Changu Narayan is regarded as one of the masterpieces of Nepalese temple architecture. The older elements have been incorporated during the restorations.
The United States says it has seized a large oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, calling it the largest tanker ever confiscated. U.S. authorities claim the vessel, under sanctions for years, was part of an illegal oil smuggling network supporting foreign terrorist organizations. A video circulating on social media shows U.S. soldiers boarding the ship by helicopter, highlighting the scale of the operation. President Donald Trump praised the seizure at the White House, while U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi led the operation. The move, however, has drawn sharp criticism from Caracas. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro denounced it as theft and international piracy, accusing the U.S. of attempting to destabilize his government. Speaking from the capital, Maduro demanded an end to U.S. intervention, warning that months of naval deployments in the Caribbean have fueled fears of possible military action. The tensions also cast a shadow over recent international events, including the Nobel Peace Prize awarded to Machado, a key Venezuelan opposition leader, highlighting the deep political divides within the country. In Myanmar, at least 31 people have been killed after the military carried out an airstrike on a hospital in western Rakhine state. The attack, which took place on Wednesday evening, also left 68 others injured, overwhelming medical teams already struggling under years of conflict. The strike comes as the junta intensifies operations against insurgent groups ahead of elections scheduled for February 28, a vote widely dismissed by opposition forces and many international observers as lacking legitimacy. Rights groups say the military has increasingly targeted civilian areas as it battles ethnic armed organizations and pro-democracy militias across the country. Myanmar has been in turmoil since the military seized power on February 1, 2021, toppling the elected government and plunging the nation into a deepening civil war. Violence has escalated sharply in recent months, with air power used frequently to regain territory lost to resistance forces. Just last week, 18 civilians were killed in similar airstrikes, underlining what humanitarian agencies describe as a growing pattern of attacks on non-military sites, including schools, clinics, and displacement camps. In the northern Moroccan city of Fes, authorities say the immediate rescue operation has now ended after the tragic collapse of two residential buildings that killed at least 22 people. According to local officials, emergency teams worked through the night to recover survivors and clear rubble. However, with the search phase concluded, attention is now turning to understanding what went wrong. Residents in the neighborhood describe deep concerns about the quality of construction in this historic city. One local who lives near the site says the big problem here is chaotic construction, pointing to a pattern of informal building practices and poorly enforced safety standards. Morocco has seen a rapid urban growth in recent years, and in many older quarters of cities like Fes, aging structures stand side by side with newer developments. Authorities have pledged to investigate the collapses and examine building safety across the city. Families of the victims are demanding answers, and residents are calling for stronger enforcement of construction regulations to prevent future tragedies. The Fes building collapses underscore wider concerns about urban planning and construction standards in fast-growing cities across the region. In Ukraine, Russia's intensified strikes on energy infrastructure have prompted renewed international attention as EU Commissioner for Enlargement Marta Koz visited a heavily damaged thermal power plant to assess ongoing repair work. The facility is among dozens targeted in recent weeks, part of a wave of attacks that has left millions relying on emergency generators, mobile transformers, and rapid response repair crews to keep electricity flowing. During her visit, Koz praised Ukrainian engineers working under constant threat and reaffirmed the European Union's long-term commitment to stabilizing the country's energy grid. She announced a coordinated plan aimed at ensuring that by the end of 2027, Ukraine becomes fully energy independent and fully integrated into the European energy system, a landmark goal seen as crucial not only for security but for Ukraine's broader path towards EU integration. The escalation in strikes marks one of the most sustained assaults on Ukraine's power network since the early months of the war, raising fears of deeper outages as winter approaches. For now, international partners continue to supply equipment, financing, and technical support to help Ukraine rebuild faster than the damage accumulates. As energy becomes a central battlefield, Ukraine's push towards European grid integration signals both a strategic resilience and a long-term shift away from Russian influence.
We have made a special plan that Ukraine until the end of 2027 will be full energy independent and full integrated in the European energy system. And then no more blackmailing, no more attacks, and all the people of Ukraine will have enough energy. What I wish to all of us, not just to Ukrainians now, is energy ceasefire.
Once a Red Sea pearl and a port city prestigious enough to host visits from Queen Elizabeth II, Aden has become an epicenter of displacement in government-controlled Yemen. After more than a decade of war, the city has absorbed hundreds of thousands of people fleeing frontline areas, turning it into a crowded refuge for those escaping violence. Local officials say Aden's population has more than doubled over the years of conflict, surging to several million people, a dramatic rise that the city's fragile infrastructure was never built to handle. The influx has put enormous pressure on essential services, especially water and electricity. Residents now face chronic shortages, frequent blackouts, and aging pipelines that struggle to deliver even minimum supplies. Fuel shortfalls have at times plunged entire districts into darkness, shutting down water pumping stations and leaving families without sanitation. Humanitarian agencies warn that Aden's public systems, already weakened by years of conflict and limited investment, are now stretched to breaking point. For many long-time residents and new arrivals alike, daily life has become a battle to secure the basics: water, power, and stability. Aden's struggle reflects the broader humanitarian toll of Yemen's war, where displacement and shattered infrastructure continue to outpace the aid and resources available. Switzerland says a new 15% US tariff on imported Swiss goods will apply retroactively from November 14. The tariff, reduced from a previous 39%, marks a step toward easing tensions in the ongoing trade dispute between the two countries. Switzerland's government emphasized that the move is part of a reciprocal agreement. In return, the Swiss will reduce tariffs on certain US fishery and agricultural products, a measure aimed at balancing trade and supporting key sectors on both sides. Swiss Economy Minister and newly elected President Guy Parmelin hailed the arrangement as a practical step towards stabilizing trade relations, noting that businesses in both countries will benefit from a clearer and more predictable tariff framework. The retroactive nature of the tariff means that companies importing Swiss goods since mid-November will now need to adjust pricing and accounting to comply with the new rate, highlighting the continuing challenges of international trade in a shifting geopolitical and economic landscape. The agreement signals a modest thaw in US-Swiss trade tensions, balancing protection for domestic industries with measures to keep cross-border commerce flowing. The 2025 Nobel Peace Prize has been officially awarded to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, though she could not attend the ceremony herself. Political pressure in Caracas has forced Machado into hiding, leaving her daughter, Ana Corina Sosa, to accept the award on her behalf in Oslo. During the ceremony, Sosa read a speech prepared by her mother, highlighting Venezuela's ongoing struggle and the urgent need for a democratic transition. Sosa also spoke of her personal hardship, revealing that she has not seen her mother for 2 years and that Machado has not appeared in public for the past 11 months. The award has sparked debate among peace activists. Some have protested, arguing that Machado should not receive the prize, labeling her a warmonger due to her support for potential U.S. military intervention in Venezuela. Supporters, however, praise her efforts to champion democracy and human rights in a country mired in political crisis. The Nobel Committee's decision underscores the tension between international recognition of democratic activism and local political controversies in Venezuela. At the vast Runges International Market just outside Paris, France, often described as the world's largest fresh produce market, wholesalers are gearing up for the intense end-of-year holiday rush. Inside the seafood pavilion, suppliers say the pressure is already building. What makes this year especially challenging is that prices are barely rising despite higher operating and transport costs. For many businesses, that means moving huge volumes just to maintain profitability. The holiday period is critical for the market's traders. Some make up to a quarter of their annual turnover in just a few days, especially in gourmet goods and high-value seafood, where margins are tight and competition is fierce. Runches, known globally as a heartbeat of Europe's fresh food supply chain, is once again entering the season where timing, logistics, and stamina can determine an entire year's success. Serbia's only oil refinery, the Petroleum Industry of Serbia, or NIS refinery, is coming to a standstill after US sanctions forced the facility to halt production. The refinery, which normally provides around 80% of Serbia's fuel supply, has been unable to receive crude oil since early October, when its Russian majority shareholders were hit by sanctions linked to the war in Ukraine. Since then, operations have gradually worn down as storage tanks emptied and incoming shipments ceased. The shutdown is now entering its final stages, leaving Serbia increasingly dependent on fuel imports at a time when regional energy markets are already strained. The refinery's halt underscores how deeply global sanctions and geopolitics can ripple into national energy systems far beyond the battlefield.
Only after 6 decades of the institutional development of the now popular game of cricket did Nepal get the opportunity to play in the World Cup. Although cricket was introduced in Nepal during the Rana regime, the sport was confined to a limited number of people, namely the elite. It all started with equipment brought by students returning from their studies in Britain and India. Although Cricket Association of Nepal (CAN) was established in 1947, cricket remained centered among a few affluent individuals and in limited tournaments for a long time. Starting with the Bishnu Trophy in 1948, tournaments were limited to competitions like the Madan Memorial Sealed, Jugal Kishore Trophy, Rammani Trophy, and later the Jai Trophy. Even as the sport expanded outside Kathmandu Valley, it took decades for cricket to develop at the grassroots level. After the International Cricket Council (ICC) granted Nepal affiliate membership in 1988, Nepali cricket embarked on its international journey. The rule of mandatory participation in tournaments by the ICC and the Asian Cricket Council (ACC) opened doors to international competition for Nepal. After participating in the Under-19 Asian tournament in Hong Kong in 1996, Nepal has not looked back. Winning titles at the Asian and global levels, Nepali cricket team continues its journey towards the pinnacle of world cricket.
Goes down the ground because he was given that line outside off stump, so the first boundary of the contest, a handsome one.
Initially confined to Tulikhel in Kathmandu, many international tournaments were hosted in Nepal after an international standard ground was built in Kirtipur. Nepal has also shown its proactiveness in differently abled cricket tournaments like the T20 World Cup for the blind in 2012 and the Asian Cricket Tournament for the deaf. Nepali women's national cricket team has also achieved remarkable success in a short period of time. The latest addition in Nepali cricket is the floodlit Tribhuvan University Cricket Stadium and the Nepal Premier League that has provided opportunity for Nepali players to rub shoulders with world-class players.
The Pacific region has had a significant impact on the globe, thanks to its crystal oceans, tropical fruits, distinct customs and culture, and friendly inhabitants. Vanuatu, an island nation out of 30,000 Pacific islands, significantly relies on tourism for its economy, lifestyle, and culture. However, the main threat to Vanuatu's tourism economy is the island's nation's propensity for natural disasters, including cyclones, earthquakes, flooding, and volcanic eruptions. Vanuatu is now recovering from Category 4 twin cyclones Judy and Kevin, which destroyed all 83 of its islands and left people without access to water, food, or shelter at night. And Efate is the main island severely damaged. Lelife Resort, a well-known tourist destination on this island, is progressively being rebuilt after being damaged by the cyclones. The resort's sole driver, Jacques Nanette, shares his experience of how he has invested in renewable energy in order to survive these ongoing tragedies.
So historically, I come from an island very similar to Vanuatu called Mauritius. It's a tropical island. I call myself an island boy. I love the islands. I grew up on the reef. I grew up in the islands. So it's my home, you know. And when I came to Vanuatu, we bought this property, which is some 670 acres, and you know, we are very much aware of climate change and the damage that's being done around the world with everything to do with climate, the world heating up and so on and so forth. So when we came to Vanuatu, we knew that we would be building a resort and that we were very much at risk of doing a considerable amount of damage if we did things in the normal way. You know, we wouldn't be helping the situation. We'd be probably would be part of the cause of climate change and instead of being the solution. So we very much wanted to be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Jacques is aware that the resort and the environment would benefit greatly from depending on renewable resources rather than producing more greenhouse gas emissions that would cause climate change.
So from day one, we decided that we'd be very careful about what trees we would cut down, what trees we would not touch at all. We're very much aware of the reef, and we try to do our best to keep the reef to a very good and high standard. And it's not easy because the villagers do a lot of damage to the reef by walking on them and so on and so forth. But we wanted to do our best. So when it actually came to the construction of the resort, then we decided to go solar. We decided to catch our own water, so we've got all the rainwater is being caught in tanks, and our carbon footprint. When you look at our carbon footprint, it's extremely low.
Lelife Resort has a low carbon footprint when compared to other tourist destinations on the island because of how little gas it produces. The resort's daily operations are powered by 12 kilowatt of solar energy throughout the year.
This is the nerve centre. So here we run a quite a decent size inverter, 2 regulators. Everything's checked through my phone. I just use my phone to check all the power levels. So I don't have to come here. I just check on my computer or on my phone. So this is a Victron system, and then we've got in these cabinets here, we've got all lithium batteries. That's one of them. We've got 9 lithium batteries, 4 on that side, 4 on that side, and 2 here. Lithium batteries that actually power the whole, everything that we have. So that's the power center, nerve center for power. And also, just want to let you know that the most important thing, or a very, very important thing, is to have a lot of solar panels, right? Like a lot of people make the mistake of putting big systems in, but they don't have enough solar panels. We have extra solar panels which we're about to put up, because if we have a lot of solar panels, even on a bad day like that, we still can capture enough power to charge these batteries. So we're going very strong on solar panels.
The water supply for the resort is derived from 3 different sources, which are all crucial services on which the survival of the resort depends.
All right, so our watering system here, basically we've got 5 bungalows directly behind you there, the colourful bungalows. And each one of those bungalows catches water, goes underground to that pipe here, and all the water from all the bungalow goes through into these tanks here. So that pipe there is full of water. That's full of water, and it goes all the way and catches the water. These 2 tanks actually catch the water for the whole this side of the resort. And we've got 3 systems like that. That's our number 1 system, and we've got another 2 which do exactly the same thing. One in the restaurant and then one near the farmhouse. So we've got 3 electrical roads, 3 watering areas. And one of the reasons why we've done 3 is because if something goes wrong with one, we've got another one.
Making use of the massive land Jacques owns, he cultivates parts of it as subsistence farming for both crops and livestock to supply the resort. However, the resort encounters difficulties due to persistent storms that disrupt the resort's operational supply. Jacques gave an example of the first day incident from Cyclone Judy.
Back area. We suffered major damage. The only time that I sort of felt a little bit edgy was when I was stuck under a table and I couldn't move, and I knew that I was underwater. The water was completely black, I couldn't see anything at all, and I couldn't get out because my head was hitting the top of the table. And then I thought, for a moment, okay, this can't be very good for my health, fundamentally. And before I had time to really start panicking or anything else, because I was obviously thinking like, yeah, let's follow the trail of the water. The water actually sucked me back out again as it receded back to the sea. It pulled me out. So I spent 14 seconds underwater.
Jacques struggles to provide the resort with a similar amount of produce. It's also difficult when there are sad events like the recent tropical cyclones Judy and Kevin, because the resort is trying to recover by growing more crops for its visitors.
We have to try and manage what we want. Sometimes, we have too many pawpaws. Other times we have too many kumara, but we don't have any green boon, or we don't have, to try and manage the whole process. It's very difficult. The cyclone has been very, very bad for us. It's been probably now almost 6-8 weeks, huh?
Yes.
We've not got any fruit, so we have absolutely zero fruit, no vegetables, because the cyclone has bulldozed everything. So now we're just starting again to get some fresh fruit. So the management and working out what we need, what we don't need, what we're going to have too much of, that's really important.
The major power and water supply station in Port Vila, UNELCO, does not completely supply electricity to the island of Efate, where Lelife Resort is located. Lelife Resort is in the eastern portion of the island, where most residents rely on solar power systems to receive electricity. Although UNELCO will soon expand its services all around the island, Jacques refuses and is determined about sticking with renewable energy and the resort's own water system so he can manage the provision of water and electricity to his visitors and ensure that they can still use the internet to stay in touch with family and friends who are far away in the event of a disaster in Vanuatu.
In the natural splendor, the silver-like peaks or the Himalayas glisten. Cradling a pond filled with milk in its lap, the Numbur Himal gleams. The Dudkunda, meaning a milk pond, in Nepal's northeastern district of Solukhumbu is truly the gateway to the paradise. The Numbur, Khatang and Karyalung mountains seem to smile at all times. Adorned with a garland of colorful flowers, the Dudh Kunda is overflowing as if filled with milk. The very sight defines nature at its best. Feels as if the Numbur mountain is giving motherly affection, holding the lake in its lap. The beauty is so serene and virgin that one fears not to stain it by touching. Indeed, Dudh Kunda is nature at its purest form. Located at Solu Dudh Kunda municipality, Taksindu, the natural paradise draws many visitors. No matter how many words are spent describing it, they all feel inadequate upon reaching there. The name itself is fulfilling and equally sacred.
हजारौं नरनारीहरू चाहिँ तीर्थयात्रीहरू दुधकुण्डमा जानुभएको छ। म पनि पुगेर आएँ। दुधकुण्ड असाध्यै पवित्र स्थल यो हिमाल काखमा रहेको तीर्थस्थल हो, पुण्यस्थल हो, देवस्थल हो र त्यहाँ चाहिँ एकचोटि पुग्नै पर्दो रहेछ। त्यहाँ पुगेर जुन आनन्दको अनुभूति हुन्छ त्यो चाहिँ कहीँ पनि पाइँदैन भन्ने चाहिँ महसुस भयो।
आनन्द लाग्यो, भएन मस्त लाग्यो अनि यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ आएर तपस्या गरेर बस्नु जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई।
एकदमै राम्रो लाग्यो हैन, प्रकृतिले दिएको रमणीय तीर्थस्थल हैन, जो कोही पनि एकचोटि चाहिँ यहाँ आएर एकचोटि भ्रमण गरेर दर्शन गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्यो।
Situated at an altitude of 4,531 meters above the sea level, Dudh Kunda is a sacred pilgrimage site of culture and nature. It feels like nature has blessed this place, and culturally, it has bound all castes and ethnicities in a thread of unity. There are various legends and sayings about Dudh Kunda. One argument is that the pond was formed during the creation of the Himalayas and was discovered by local sheep and yak herders. According to another legend, in ancient times, a yak would go to a stone where the pond is located and offer its milk every day. Later, the place was found to be a pond filled with milk, leading to its name, Dudh Kunda. This has also led to the belief that gods and goddesses reside here. There are 3 different routes to reach Dudh Kunda. One route is through Salleri, Faplu, Taksindu and Sasra Beni. Another route goes via Lukla, the gateway to the Everest, through Nunthala, Taksindu and Sahasra Beni. Nature has truly blessed the Solu Dudh Kunda municipality. Truly, just like the majestic Mount Everest, Dudh Kunda has the potential to be the destination for everyone in the days to come. It is a thread of unity among all castes and ethnicities. Just like the holy water of Dudh Kunda, it will become a pure and excellent destination.
जानकी मन्दिर महर्षि जनकको पुण्य भूमि, माता जानकीको पवित्र जन्मस्थल।
देश विदेशमा परिचित जनकपुर धाम मध्य प्रदेशको मात्र नभई अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय स्तरमै प्रख्यात पवित्र भूमि, सबैको पूजनीय ठाउँ जनकपुर धाम। महेन्द्र राजमार्गको ढल्केबरबाट करिब 21 किलोमिटर दक्षिण लागेपछि शहीद गेट हुँदै रामानन्द चोक पुग्न सकिन्छ। जनकपुरको ठूलो प्रवेशद्वार रामानन्द प्रवेशद्वार। 4वटा ठूलो पिलरमा बनाइएको रामानन्द प्रवेशद्वारको माथि स्वामी रामानन्दको प्रतिमा छ। यो प्रवेशद्वारलाई जनकपुरवासीले जनकपुरको गौरव समेत मान्ने गरेका छन्। रामानन्द चोकबाट करिब 1 किलोमिटर पूर्व गएपछि मिथिलाञ्चलवासीको सांस्कृतिक धरोहर जानकी मन्दिर पुग्न सकिन्छ। मध्य प्रदेशको राजधानी जनकपुरमा अवस्थित यो मन्दिर नेपालमा भएका मन्दिरहरूमध्ये क्षेत्रफलका आधारमा सबैभन्दा ठूलो मन्दिर हो। मन्दिर निर्माणको 125 वर्ष जति मात्र भए पनि यसमा स्थापित राम जानकीको प्रतिमा भने झण्डै 700 वर्ष पुरानो भएको संस्कृतिविदहरूको भनाइ छ।
20औं शताब्दीको प्रारम्भमा भनौं त्यति बेला एकजना मध्य प्रदेशकै ओर्छा स्टेट छ, त्यहाँ त्यसको राजधानी टिकमगढ छ। त्यहाँकी रानीले आएर अहिलेको जानकी मन्दिरको जुन ढाँचा अहिले देखिएको छ, जो देशमा सबैभन्दा ठुलो ढाँचा मन्दिरको रूपमा एउटा छ, त्यो राजस्थानी शैली र मुगल शैली दुईटीको मिश्रित रूपमा यहाँ बनाइदिएको हो त्यो मन्दिर। त्यसपछि यहाँ विकास भएको हो।
विक्रम सम्वत 1968 सालमा निर्माण सम्पन्न भएको यो मन्दिर धार्मिक र सांस्कृतिक हिसाबले सम्पन्न मैथिली सभ्यताको धरोहर हो। पवित्र हिन्दू धर्मस्थलको रूपमा चिनिने जानकी मन्दिर मुगल शैलीमा निर्माण गरिएको छ। पाँच 500 वर्ष पुरानो इतिहास बोकेको यो मन्दिर 4860 वर्ग फिटमा फैलिएको छ भने 50 फिट अग्लो रहेको छ। नेपालको ख्याति प्राप्त यो मन्दिरलाई कलाको उत्कृष्ट नमुना मान्न सकिन्छ। प्राचीन मिथिलाको राजधानी जनकपुरमा अवस्थित जानकी मन्दिर विश्वभरका हिन्दूहरूको आस्थाको केन्द्रबिन्दु हो। यो मन्दिर भारत मध्य प्रदेश स्थित टिकमगढकी राजकुमारी वृषभानुकुमारीले 9 लाख चाँदीका असर्फी खर्च गरेर निर्माण गरिएको हो भन्ने किम्वदन्ती छ। त्यसैले यो मन्दिरलाई 9 लाखा मन्दिर पनि भन्ने गरिन्छ।
खर्चमा 9 लाख रुपियाँ खर्च भएको थियो। त्यो बेलाको शासनमा 1910 तिरको 9 लाख भन्दाखेरि त अहिले त अर्बौं खर्बौंमा जान्छ। अनि त्यो खर्च भएको हुनाले यसलाई 9 लाख भनिएको हो कि भन्ने बुझिन्छ। प्राचीन मिथिला हिन्दू तथा मुस्लिम कलाको समुचित समायोजनबाट निर्मित
जानकी मन्दिर कलाकृतिले समेत भरिपूर्ण ठाउँ हो। सीताको जन्मभूमि र राम सीताको विवाह भएको पुण्यभूमि भएकाले पनि यो ठाउँ सबैको आस्थाको केन्द्र बनेको छ।
सीतामढ़ी से हम लोग जनकपुर धाम पर आए हैं। माँ जानकी का यह पालन स्थल है, जन्म स्थल पुनौरा भूमि हुआ। वहाँ से राजा जनक जी पुनौरा धाम से माँ जानकी को यहाँ अपने दरबार में अपना यहाँ उनका साम्राज्य था, उस साम्राज्य में अपना यहाँ उनका लालन पालन हुआ है और काफ़ी धार्मिक आस्था है। जगत जननी माँ सीता का यह लालन पालन का स्थल है और हम लोग इसी आस्था से माँ जानकी के आशीर्वाद लेने हेतु यहाँ पर पहुँचे हुए।
धार्मिक तथा सांस्कृतिक रूपमा सम्पन्न यो मन्दिर मिथिलाञ्चलवासीको सांस्कृतिक धरोहरको रूपमा रहेको छ। मैथिली सभ्यताको प्रतीकको रूपमा रहेको यो मन्दिरमा श्रद्धा एवं निष्ठापूर्वक पूजाआजा गरे मनको शान्ति मिल्नुका साथै मनोकामना पूरा हुने जनविश्वास छ।
यहाँ पे हम जानते हैं कि सीता माता का जन्म स्थान है यहाँ पे, तो हम यहाँ हम राम और कृष्णा दोनों एक मानते हैं। तो हम राम जी के बारे में और जानकी के बारे में ज़्यादा जानना चाहते हैं, जानकी माता के बारे में, इसीलिए यहाँ आए, उनका जन्म स्थान देखना चाहते हैं।
यहाँ आएपछि त भित्री आत्मादेखि असाध्य खुसी लाग्छ क्या। जति जे हाम्रो मनभित्र हुन्छ नि, बाहिर कतै हुँदाखेरि हामीभित्र जुन मनमा चलिरहेको हुन्छ नि, यहाँ आएपछि त बेग्लै महसुस भइरहेको हुन्छ क्या, त्यस्तो हुन्छ।
ऐतिहासिक, धार्मिक तथा पर्यटकीय क्षेत्रको रूपमा रहेको यो मन्दिरभित्र पर्यटकलाई लोभ्याउने कलाकृति र सौन्दर्यताकै कारण यहाँ देश विदेशबाट हजारौंको संख्यामा दर्शनार्थीहरूको भीड लाग्ने गर्दछ। यहाँको कला कौशलताले सजी सजाऊ मन्दिरसँगै वरिपरि रहेको हरियाली वातावरणले पर्यटकहरूलाई थप आकर्षित गर्नुका साथै ऊर्जा समेत प्रदान गर्ने गर्दछ।
बहुत दिनों की इच्छा थी कि मैं माता के स्थान पे आऊं, है ना, और आने का मुझे सौभाग्य हुआ और मुझे बहुत ही दिल से खुशी हो रही है कि मुझे इनका दर्शन हुआ। और जिस तरह से यहाँ पे संरक्षण किया गया है, इससे मुझे बहुत ही संतुष्टि हो रही है और सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और मैं भगवान का आभार प्रकट करती हूँ कि मुझे दर्शन का सौभाग्य मिला।
जानकी मन्दिर छेउमा रहेको भगवान सीतारामको विवाह मण्डप स्थल, जानकी मन्दिरको उत्तरतर्फ रहेको राम जानकी विवाह मण्डप जनकपुर धामको अर्को धार्मिक एवं दर्शनीय स्थल हो। श्री राम जानकी विवाह मण्डपको चारैतिर पारदर्शी शीशा लगाइएकाले वरिपरि रहेका सम्पूर्ण देवताहरूको दर्शन बाहिरबाटै गर्न सकिन्छ। सीतारामका भव्य मूर्तिहरू मध्यभागमा देवीका मूर्तिहरू राखिएका छन्। गर्भ मण्डपभित्र कलात्मक स्तम्भहरू छन्। यी स्तम्भहरूमा विभिन्न देवी देवताहरूका 4-4 वटाका दरले मूर्तिहरू जोडेर राखिएका छन्। मण्डपको माथि शिरमा रहेको गजुरले यसको रौनकतालाई अझै बढाएको छ। यहाँ विवाह पञ्चमीमा भारत अयोध्याबाट लाखौं मानिसहरू जन्ती बनेर आउने गर्दछन्। जानकी मन्दिर, राम मन्दिर लगायतका मठ मन्दिरहरूबाट बाजागाजा सहित निस्किने झाँकी नगरको विभिन्न भागको परिक्रमा गर्दै ऐतिहासिक रङ्गभूमि 12 बिघा मैदानमा पुगी राम र जानकीको स्वयंवर हुने गर्दछ। विवाह पञ्चमीको अवसरमा जानकी मन्दिर, राम मन्दिर, जनक मन्दिर, विवाह मण्डप, शिव मन्दिर लगायतका मठ मन्दिरहरूमा बिहानैदेखि साधु सन्त, भक्तजन र दर्शनार्थीहरूको घुइँचो लाग्ने गर्दछ। विवाह पञ्चमी मेला भर्न नेपालका विभिन्न स्थानका साथै भारतबाट समेत भक्तजनहरू जनकपुर धाम आउने गर्दछन्।
विवाह पञ्चमी यहाँको सबभन्दा ठुलो महत्त्वपूर्ण पर्व हो। उसमा चाहिँ बढी भिड हुन्छ, सबैतिरबाट मान्छे आउँछ, अयोध्याबाट जयन्ती आउँछ, लोकल मान्छेको पनि भिड हुन्छ। बिहा पञ्चमी ठुलो मेला हुन्छ यहाँको। हुन त सबै महिनामा छ, अब यो साउनमा यो आषाढको पूर्णिमा गुरु पूजा हुन्छ, उसमा पनि लाग्छ। श्रावणमा झुला हुन्छ नि, हरियाली तीज भन्छ, झुल्ने प्रक्रिया छ, त्यो पनि हुन्छ। भदौमा चाहिँ जन्माष्टमी हुन्छ, यस्तै आश्विनमा दुर्गा पूजा, कार्तिकमा अन्नकुट दिवालीहरू हुन्छ। अनि फेरि मङ्सिरमा बिहा पञ्चमी हुन्छ, यो फाल्गुनमा परिक्रमा हुन्छ 15 दिनको, चैतमा रामनवमी हुन्छ, वैशाखमा जानकी नवमी हुन्छ। सबै महिनामा केही न केही पर्व भइरहन्छ।
जनकपुर धामको पौराणिकतालाई दर्शाउने मणि मण्डप, भगवान राम र माता सीताको विवाह भएको स्थलको रूपमा ख्याति प्राप्त मणि मण्डप पुरातात्विक दृष्टिले अति नै प्राचीन मानिन्छ। यो मण्डपले मिथिला सभ्यताको प्राचीनतालाई समेत दर्शाउँदछ।
यो तपाईको त्रेता युगमा जुन समयमा भगवान रामको बिहे भएको थियो नि, त्यो बेलाको यो मण्डप हो। या यो भूमि छ नि, जुन माटो छ नि, हाम्रो पूर्वजले यो माटोलाई नै पूजा गरेको थियो पहिला। अहिले तपाईको त्यो बाँसको झोपडी बनाएर पूजा गर्दै आइरहेको थियो। त्यसपछि यो तपाईको 2007 मा इन्डियाको डेटमा जयपुरको आन्सर यो बना।
जनकपुरबाट करिब 17 किलोमिटर उत्तरमा धनुषा धाम रहेको छ। राजा जनकले आफ्नी छोरी सीताका लागि आयोजना गरेको स्वयंवरमा भगवान रामले तोडेको शिवजीको धनुषको 3 टुक्रा मध्ये 1 टुक्रा यही झरेको थियो भन्ने मान्यता छ। यही स्थानमा अहिले धनुष मन्दिर समेत रहेको छ। जानकी मन्दिर दर्शन गर्ने जो कोही धनुषा धाम पुग्ने गर्दछन्। जानकी मन्दिर पुग्ने भक्तजनहरूले धनुषा धामको दर्शन नगरे दर्शन पूरा नहुने महन्तहरू बताउनुहुन्छ।
सीता र रामजीको बीचमा एउटा जुन वैवाहिक बन्धन भएछ, त्यसको प्रतीक रूपमा त्यो धनुष हो। त्यो स्वयं भगवानको हातबाट भाँचिएको र स्वयं परशुराम पनि एउटा भगवानको अवतारले चाहिँ त्यो धनुष, शिवजीको धनुष जनकले दिएको हुनाले त्यसको महात्म्य हेर्ने हो भने रामेश्वरम चाहिँ पछि स्थापना गर्नुभएछ भगवान रामले। त्यो धनुष चाहिँ आफ्नो हातबाट त्योभन्दा पहिला स्थापना गर्नुभएको हुनाले त्यो पनि एउटा दर्शनको ठुलो महत्त्वपूर्ण स्थान हो धनुषा धाम। र त्यो राम र सीताको बीचको एउटा प्रतीक रूपमा त्यो धनुष मानिन्छ। र जनकपुर आउने दर्शनार्थीलाई यदि धनुषको दर्शन भएन भने पूर्ण दर्शन हुँदैन, अधुरो दर्शन हुन्छ।
त्रेताकालीन इतिहास बोकेको जनकपुरको धनुष सागर, 3 टुक्रा भएको शिवजीको धनुष मध्ये 1 टुक्रा पातालमा गएको थियो भन्ने किंवदन्ती अनुसार सोही स्थानमा पोखरीको आकार लिएको मान्यता छ। आज सोही स्थानलाई धनुष सागरको नामले चिन्ने गरिन्छ। जानकी मन्दिरको छेवैमा रहेको राम मन्दिर, जानकी मन्दिर पुग्ने जो कोही राम मन्दिर पुग्ने गर्दछन्। जानकी मन्दिरको निर्माण भन्दा पहिले नै निर्मित यो मन्दिरको निर्माण प्यागोडा शैलीमा गरिएको छ। राम मन्दिरलाई झट्ट हेर्दा पशुपतिनाथ मन्दिरको झल्को आउँछ। राम मन्दिरमा पञ्चायन मूर्ति, लक्ष्मी नारायण, विष्णु अवतारको मूर्ति, अन्य देवी देवताको नित्य पूजा अर्चना गर्ने गर्दछ। मन्दिरमा रहेका ती मूर्तिहरू चतुर्भुज गिरीले फेला पारेका थिए। तिनै सन्तले पछि मन्दिरमै रहेको बरको रुखमुनि मूर्तिहरू राखेर पूजा सुरु गरेका थिए भन्ने भनाइ छ।
यहाँ सुरकिशोर दास आएका थिए, उनकै समकालीन एउटा अर्को सन्यासी चतुर्भुज गिरी पनि आएका थिए भनिन्छ। उनी जोशी मठका उनी त्यहाँका सन्यासी थिए, शङ्कराचार्यका शिष्य थिए उनी। अनि यहाँ उनी पनि मिथिला खोज्दै जनकपुर आएका थिए। यहाँ बस्दाखेरि एउटा भनाइ के छ भने उनी यहाँ आउँदाखेरि अहिले जहाँ राम मन्दिर छ त्यो राम मन्दिरकै ठाउँमा एउटा रुखमुनि बसेका थिए। उनीलाई स्वप्न भयो अरे, त्यो भनाइ छ एउटा किंवदन्ती जस्तो। अनि उनले त्यहाँ खन्दाखेरि त्यहाँबाट मूर्तिहरू फेला पारे, लक्ष्मीनारायणका मूर्तिहरू अहिले पनि त्यहाँ लक्ष्मीनारायणका मूर्तिहरू त्यहाँ छ त्यहाँ, र अहिले राम मन्दिरका भएका मूर्तिहरू पनि छन्। तुलना गर्न त्यसपछि त्यहाँबाट मठ उनले पनि बनाएका थिए। त्यहाँ सुरुमा ऊ थियो भनिन्छ। अहिले जुन देखिन्छ नि त्यो ऐतिहासिक तथ्यहरूले के भन्छन् भने यो चौथो ढाँचा हो जो अहिले देखिएको हो। त्यहाँ सुरुमा एउटा मठ जस्तो रह्यो होला, पछि त्यसलाई मकवानी राजाहरूले पनि ढाँचा त्यहाँ खडा गरिदिए त्यहाँ मन्दिरहरू। त्यो तुलना गर्नु भनेपछि जानकी मन्दिर अलि भारतीय उसँग बढी नजिक देखिन्थ्यो भनेपछि राम मन्दिरका जुन सन्यासीहरू त्यहाँ अहिले पनि त्यहाँ गिरी नै हुन्छ। त्यहाँ दुईटा फरक के छ भने यो जानकी मन्दिर वैष्णवी मठ हो, रामानन्दीहरूको मठ हो, अनि त्यो सन्यासीहरूको मठ हो।
जनकपुर धामका पुराना मन्दिरहरूमध्ये लक्ष्मण मन्दिर पनि एउटा हो। यो मन्दिर जानकी मन्दिर अगाडिको विशाल प्राङ्गणको उत्तर पूर्वमा पर्दछ। यस मन्दिरमा मुख्य रूपमा भगवान सीताराम, लक्ष्मण र लवकुशका धातुका मूर्तिहरू राखेर पूजा आजा गरिन्छ। राजा जनककै नामले प्रख्यात नगरी जनकपुर धाममा रहेको जनक मन्दिर प्राचीनताको अर्को नमुना हो। यो मन्दिर धनुष सागरको उत्तर पश्चिम डिलमा अवस्थित छ। गंगा सागरको डिलमा शिव मन्दिर रहेको छ। शिवरात्रि लगायतका पर्वहरूमा मन्दिरमा ठूलै संख्यामा दर्शनार्थीहरूको घुइँचो लाग्ने गर्दछ। गंगा सागरको उत्तर पश्चिम तथा शिवचोकमा रहेको यो मन्दिरको निर्माण 2038 सालमा गरिएको हो। यो मन्दिरको निर्माण भने शिखर शैलीमा गरिएको छ। जानकी मन्दिरमा बिहान 7 बजे र बेलुका 8 बजे आरती हुने गर्दछ। संगीतमय यो आरती हेर्नका लागि श्रद्धालुहरूको भीड़ नै लाग्ने गर्दछ। बिहानको पूजापाठ हो वा दिउँसोको रामायण पाठ अथवा भजन कीर्तनदेखि साँझको आरतीसम्म यहाँ भक्तजनहरूको भीड़ लाग्ने गर्दछ। यसले जानकी मन्दिर प्रतिको आस्था र विश्वासलाई समेत झल्काउने गर्दछ।
आस्था ठुलो छ यो क्षेत्रमा। जनकपुरको विकासको क्रममा हेर्ने हो भने यो दुईटा मन्दिर सम्भवतः नभएको भए जनकपुर मेटिन्थ्यो अथवा स्थापित हुने थिएन। किनभने धेरै प्राचीन पश्चिमी विद्वानहरू जसले अनुसन्धान गरेका छ जनकपुरको बारेमा, उनीहरू पनि भनाइ के छ भने जनकपुर धेरैचोटि बसिसकेका छ, धेरैचोटि उजाड भइसकेका छ, यसको इतिहास त्यही भन्छ। तर यो दुईवटा मन्दिरले गर्दाखेरि यहाँ के भयो भने विभिन्न कुटीहरूको स्थापना पनि भयो, जातीय कुटीहरूको स्थापना भयो। विभिन्न जातले आफ्नो आफ्नो कुटीहरूको स्थापना गरे, गाउँ घरमा बसेका थियो, तर कुटीको स्थापना जनकपुरमा गरे, किनभने जनकपुरमा आएर पुण्य कमाउनु छ।
दिउँसो 12 बजेदेखि 4 बजेसम्म भने गर्भगृहको ढोका बन्द रहन्छ। गर्भगृह पछाडि सांस्कृतिक संग्रहालय रहेको छ। यो संग्रहालयले यहाँ आउने जो कोहीको मन लोभ्याउने गर्दछ। यो संग्रहालयले हलेश्वरी महायज्ञ भएर सीता फेला परेदेखि सीतारामको विवाह भएसम्मको झझल्को दिलाउने गर्दछ। जानकी मन्दिरमा हुने महन्तको कुनै पनि व्यक्तिगत व्यवहार, कुल, परिवार नहुने यो वैष्णव धर्मको परम्पराले सञ्चालन भइरहेको छ। वैराग्य परम्पराले चल्ने यो मन्दिरको हालको पुजारी महन्त राम तपेश्वर दास हुनुहुन्छ।
महन्तको 2, 4, 10, 20टा चेला हुन्छ। त्यो चेला मध्ये चाहिँ यहाँको नगर समाज, यहाँको महन्तजी होइन, जसलाई लायक सम्झिन्छ उसलाई चाहिँ बनाउँछ। मरेपछि उसलाई दाह क्रिया गर्छ। त्यसपछि यहाँको समाज उसैलाई महन्त बनाइदिन्छ अनि गुड्स स्थान उसैलाई समर्थन दिइदिन्छ। यही परम्परा छ अहिलेसम्म।
छुटगुठीको रूपमा रहेको यो ऐतिहासिक मन्दिर भेटीबाट सञ्चालन हुने गर्दछ। छुटगुठी भएकै कारणले 3 तहकै सरकारसँगैका कुनै पनि गुठी संस्थानले यसमा लगानी गरेको छैन। 12 महिनामा 12वटा पर्व, विवाह पञ्चमी, सार्वजनिक विवाह हुनुका साथै जानकी मन्दिरको हातभित्र दैनिक जसो अखण्ड रामायण पाठ, अखण्ड कीर्तन लगायतका कार्यक्रम हुने यस मन्दिरको व्यवस्थापन समेत दान दातव्यबाट सञ्चालन भइरहेको छ।
यो जानकी मन्दिर चाहिँ छुटगुठी अन्तर्गत पर्छ। अनि गुठी स्थान र हाम्रो जुन लाल मोहर छ नि त्यसमा लेखेको छ यसको जुन सम्पत्ति छ, यसको जुन साधन स्रोत छ, यसैबाट चाहिँ यसलाई सञ्चालन गर्ने भएन भन्ने महन्जी स्वयं यसको व्यवस्था गर्ने।
ऐतिहासिक रूपले महत्त्वपूर्ण सांस्कृतिक धरोहर मानिने जानकी मन्दिर धार्मिक हिसाबले नेपाल र भारत दुवै देशका हिन्दू धर्मावलम्बीहरूको सेतु पनि हो। मध्य प्रदेश सरकारले हिन्दू धर्मावलम्बीहरूको पवित्र र प्रख्यात तीर्थस्थल जानकी मन्दिरलाई विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा सूचीकृत गर्नका लागि आफ्नो 2081-82 को नीति तथा कार्यक्रममा समावेश समेत गरिसकेको छ। धार्मिक पर्यटनमा अथाह सम्भावना बोकेको जानकी मन्दिर लगायतका ऐतिहासिक धरोहरहरूले हाम्रो संस्कृति र परिचय झल्काउँदछ।
Nepal files a major corruption case linked to main international airport. Corruption watchdog charges 7, including former chief immigration officer. 10-point agreement between Nepal government and Gen Z representatives to be published in National Gazette. Cabinet expands Gen Z Commission's mandate. The world marks International Mountain Day today. Nepal emphasizes urgent action to protect glaciers and sustain mountain livelihoods. Nepal's youth at risk as drug trade escalates in border districts. Open borders, unemployment and poverty major drivers. At least 34 killed as Myanmar military airstrikes hit hospital in Rakhine's Mraopu ethnic conflict escalates. And Lumini Lions set up title clash with Sudur Pashchim Royals in Nepal Premier League NPL Season 2. Defeat Viratnagar Kings by 40 runs. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. And now the news in detail. Nepal has filed a major corruption and money laundering case linked to the country's main international airport. The Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority has charged former Chief Immigration Officer at Tribhuvan International Airport, Tirtharaj Bhattarai, along with 6 others at the special court. According to prosecutors, Bhattarai allegedly ran an organized bribery network targeting outbound travelers, particularly those flying on visit and tourist visas. He's accused of colluding with private travel operators to extract illegal payments by manipulating passenger names, destinations, and visa categories. Authorities have demanded the recovery of 7.98 million rupees from Bhattarai alone and are seeking prison terms, fines, and restitutions from all defendants. A separate money laundering claim of 10.37 million rupees has also been filed. Investigators say the scheme functioned by exploiting Nepalese traveling abroad, highlighting persistent vulnerabilities in airport governance and oversight. In a significant development, today's Council of Ministers meeting approved the implementation of 10-point agreement signed between the government and Gen Z representatives on December 10 at Singhadarwar. The pact, signed by Prime Minister Sushila Karki and Bhoj Bikram Thapa on behalf of those martyred and injured during the movement, will now be published in the National Gazette. The Cabinet also decided to expand the mandate of the Investigation Commission probing the September 8-9 Gen Z movement incidents. Communications Minister added that the Commission will operate within its legal framework, including the possible recording of statements from former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli.
जेनजी आन्दोलनका प्रतिनिधि र सम्माननीय प्रधानमन्त्री बीच मिति 2082 8 महिना 24 गते भएको सम्झौता अनुमोदन गर्ने र अतिरिक्ताङ्क गरी नेपाल राजपत्रमा प्रकाशन गर्ने उक्त सम्झौता सम्बद्ध मन्त्रालयले उच्च प्राथमिकताका साथ कार्यान्वयन गर्ने निर्णय भएको छ। जेनजी आन्दोलनका प्रतिनिधि र सम्माननीय प्रधानमन्त्री बीच मिति 2082 8 महिना 24 गते भएको सम्झौता बमोजिम नेपाल सरकार मन्त्री परिषदको 2082 6 महिना 5 को निर्णय अनुसार गठित जाँचबुझ आयोगको कार्यक्षेत्र थप गर्ने निर्णय भएको छ।
Nepal should take the global lead in amplifying the urgency of mountain conservation. That is the call from Agriculture and Livestock Development Minister Dr. Madan Prasad Pariyar. Speaking at an event organized by the Ministry of Forest and Environment on International Mountain Day, the minister said Nepal is among the countries most severely impacted by climate change, and only collective action can confront its consequences. International Mountain Day is observed every December 11. This year, the day was observed with the theme Glaciers Matter for Water, Food and Livelihoods. The United Nations has designated 2025 as the International Year of Glaciers Preservation, warning that melting ice sheets are a stark signal of the deepening climate crisis. Nepal's drug crisis is deepening from the far west to the eastern plains, with police reporting a sharp rise in trafficking and addiction among the country's youth. In Kailali, Kanchanpur, easy cross-border access has fueled rampant drug flow, with arrests rising from just under 400 to nearly 1,000 in 4 years. Many users are as young as 16. In Madhya province, 288 people have been arrested in 6 months, including Indian nationals, with districts like Dhanusha and Siraha emerging as hotspots. Police warn border areas are increasingly being used as transit routes. More in our cover story. At least 34 people have been killed and dozens more injured after airstrikes by Myanmar's military hit a hospital in the country's west on Wednesday night. The attack took place in Mraoku, a town in Rakhine State controlled by the Arakan Army, one of the strongest ethnic forces fighting the junta. Since the 2021 coup, Myanmar's civil war has left thousands dead and displaced millions. In recent months, the military has intensified its aerial assaults as it struggles to regain territory, even deploying paragliders to drop bombs on its opponents. The junta has not commented on the latest strike, which comes just weeks before Myanmar prepares for its first election since the coup, a vote widely dismissed as neither free nor credible. Lumbini Lions booked their place in the Nepal Premier League final with a 40-run win over Biratnagar Kings in the second qualifier at Kirtipur. Put to bat first, Lumbini made 134 for the loss of 8, led by Darcy Short's 45, Captain Rohit Paudal's 34 and a brisk 29 from Niroshan Dikwella, while Subhash Bhandari impressed for Biratnagar with 3 for 14. Biratnagar's reply faltered early as they slumped to 30 for 4, with only Sam Hazlett offering resistance with 34 of 28. Player of the match, Tilak Bhandari's 3 for 15 sealed the Kings' fate as they were bowled out for 94 in 17.5 overs. When we return, we'll take a closer look at the International Mountain Day and this year's warning from scientists. Shrinking glaciers are reshaping entire ecosystems, affecting everything from agriculture to hydropower. Issue of the day just ahead. You're watching NTV World and this is News Hour. Minister for Agriculture and Livestock Development, Dr. Madan Prasad Pariyar, has said Nepal should take the lead in amplifying issues of mountain conservation within the global community. Addressing a program organized by the Ministry of Forests and Environment on the occasion of International Mountain Day today, the minister said Nepal remains one of the countries most affected by the impacts of climate change and that collective efforts are needed to address its consequences. The minister further added that the role played by local communities in the mountainous regions, including indigenous peoples, ethnic groups, Dalits, and marginalized communities in mountain and nature conservation is incomparable. Today marks International Mountain Day, observed worldwide every December 11 to highlight the importance of mountain ecosystems and the challenges they face. This year's theme, Glaciers Matter for Water, Food and Livelihoods, underscores the growing threat of rapid glacier melt, which scientists say is endangering water security, agriculture, hydropower and the lives of millions. Events in Nepal and across the globe include seminars, photo campaigns and local restoration projects. The United Nations has already declared 2025 the International Year of Glaciers Preservation, warning that melting ice sheets, which store 70% of the world's fresh water, are a clear signal of the deepening climate crisis. For Nepal, home to the towering Himalayas and 8 of the world's highest summits, the message of this year's International Mountain Day is unmistakably urgent. Glaciers matter. Their rapid retreat now threatens water, food systems and livelihoods from the high slopes to the plains. Sabika Shrestha takes a closer look.
Home to 14 peaks above 8,000 meters, Nepal is a mountainous country, and the International Mountain Day matters to none other than us. Climate change, global warming, increasing pollution due to human encroachment, expeditions, among others, are exerting tremendous pressure to the mountain ecosystem. The Himalayas are the source of water for more than 1.9 billion people, which is nearly a quarter of the global population. Preserving the Himalayan ecosystem is becoming increasingly challenging in the present time. Experts warn that rising global temperatures are causing rapid glacial retreat, threatening water security and increasing risks of floods, landslides, and erosion in both high altitude and downstream communities. Anil Kirati, Executive Director of the Nepal Mountain Academy, says the government is now prioritizing climate change issues.
कार्यक्रमको हिसाबले हेर्ने हो भने अब नेपाल सरकारले त सगरमाथा राष्ट्रिय संवाद जस्ता कार्यक्रम हैन अनि विभिन्न किसिमका अन्य मसिना दैनिक कार्यहरूमा गर्नुपर्ने निर्णयहरू चाहिँ हिमाल संरक्षणको लागि भनेर विभिन्न निकायसँग समन्वयमा कामहरू पनि गरिरहेको छ। माउन्ट एभरेस्टको अब एक्सपिडिसनको बेलामा त जसले जति फोहोर लान्छ माथि सामान लिएर गएको हुन्छ त्यो फोहोर चाहिँ उसले बेस क्याम्पसम्म झार्नै पर्ने नीति नै छ र त्यो एकदम कडाइका साथ अहिलेसम्म नेपाल सरकार अब हाम्रो मन्त्रालयले लागू पनि गरिरहेकै छ। अन्यमा चाहिँ अब सबैलाई काउन्सिलिङ गर्ने।
Nepal has repeatedly stressed in international forums that despite minimal contribution to global emissions, it faces some of the harshest climate impacts. Younger generations' interest in preserving the mountain ecosystem is crucial in future to keep the peaks covered by snow, while providing water downstream for agricultural use.
So we can preserve mountain ecosystem by, first of all, by preserving the local peoples of the mountain region, and after that we can contribute to the development of the local destinations, sustainable local destinations. And another things we can do is preserve fragile ecosystem of the mountain regions. And main things is we have to make clean the mountains and do everything we can to keep it as it is when we return back from there.
For Nepal, International Mountain Day is a reminder that protecting glaciers is crucial, not only for iconic landscapes, but also for water, food, energy, and the livelihoods of millions. Reported by Sabika Shrestha for NTV World with camera person Rasila Shrestha.
And in this context, today we have asked in our Public Pulse segment, how can we preserve the mountain ecosystem? Here's what they had to say.
Mountain ecosystem बचाउनको लागि चाहिँ माउन्टेन टुरिज्म यो टुरिस्टलाई चाहिँ एकदम इन्टरनेशनल टुरिस्ट तथा डोमेस्टिक टुरिस्टलाई चाहिँ एकदम रेस्पोन्सिबल बनाउन सकिन्छ मेन कुरा। अनि अर्को भनेको चाहिँ हाम्रो यो इलिगल हन्टिङहरु पोचिङहरु चाहिँ कन्ट्रोल गर्नुपर्ने देखिन्छ। माउन्टेनमा चाहिँ अब म्याक्सिमम चाहिँ अलिकति ओभरग्रेजिङ चाहिँ धेरै देखिरहेको केसेसहरु छ, जुनलाई चाहिँ अलिकति कम गर्यो भने चाहिँ इकोसिस्टममा चाहिँ अलि ह्याम्पर कम हुन्छ भन्ने लाग्छ।
Really big difference between, as I said, ecosystem is a problem because, as I said, that the glacier is maybe 2,000 meters higher than previously. Personally, for me, trekking roads to ABC and Apurna Base Camp rather, now it's full of tourists, both way, up and down.
सर्वप्रथम त अब सबै नेपालीहरु जानुहुन्छ, तर धेरैले चाहिँ अब त्यता फोहोर गरेर आउनुहुन्छ, खाएर अब प्लास्टिक सास्टिक सबै फालेर आउनुहुन्छ। त्यो चाहिँ सबैले चाहिँ बुझेर हिमालमा जानुहुने जति पनि नेपालीहरुले चाहिँ त्यो सफा गर्ने, फोहोरहरू टिपेर ल्याउने भएको फोहोरहरू त्यहाँ भएकोहरूलाई चाहिँ अलिक सपोर्ट गर्ने कसरी गरिरहेकोहरूलाई चाहिँ गर्नु हुँदैन अब यस्तो गर्नु हुँदैन भनेर आफूले पहिला सिकाउने
mountain. I know only the mountains from the tourist perspective, but for me, if you are talking about the ecosystem, of course I could see the page with the slides, with the pictures I got from my father, and now I did the same pictures at the same place. The level of the snow is different.
We'll go for a short break here. After the break, a troubling look at Nepal's growing drug crisis. In the far west, easy cross-border access, in fact, fueling a surge in trafficking and addiction among teenagers, and in Madhesh, arrest climbing as border districts become major transit points for the drug trade. Plus, police in Morang seizing more than 900 kilograms of abandoned cannabis. Those reports up next. Watching NTV World News Hour. Nepal is witnessing a rapid surge in drug abuse, turning the crisis into what experts now describe as a social epidemic. With estimates suggesting 800,000 to 1 million users nationwide, the situation has become more alarming due to rising rate of relapse among those who undergo treatment. We have a report.
Nepal is facing a growing social crisis. Drug addiction is spreading rapidly, threatening communities from the Tarai Plains to the major urban centers. Official statistics report 135,000 registered users, but the rehabilitation centers estimate that the true number could be between 800,000 and 1 million. Of these, 600,000 to 700,000 urgently need treatment. The surge in addiction has turned into what experts call a social epidemic. Women make up roughly 12% of users, and children as young as 7th grade are increasingly targeted. Experts warn that prevention alone is not enough. Without consistent post-treatment monitoring and social reintegration, relapse rates remain alarmingly high.
Environment भनेको बाहिर त यहाँबाट निस्किने बित्तिकै ती बाहिर भट्टी पसल छ, ती बाहिर औषधि पसलहरू छ, ती बाहिर उलाई खुवाउने साथीभाइहरू छ, ती बाहिर उलाई बेच्ने डिलरहरू छ, ती सबै चाहिँ नि इन्भाइरोमेन्टल क्रेभिङमा पर्छ। त्यसकारणले कतिपय साथीभाइको संगतले गर्दाखेरि मान्छेहरू ड्रग्समा फसिरहेको हुन्छ, कतिपय आमा बुवाहरूको अब टेक केयरको ब्यालेन्स नमिलेर पनि भन्छु म, कतिपय म प्यारेन्ट्सहरूलाई पनि दोष दिन्छु। यसमा बच्चा एक्लैको दोष छैन र सबभन्दा मेन ठुलो कुरा भनेको चाहिँ नि ल्याक अफ द एजुकेसनै छ।
Narconon Nepal and other rehabilitation centers are working tirelessly to restore lives. Their approach emphasizes not just detoxification but also long-term reintegration, combining social, economic and psychological support.
कुनै पनि देशमा कुनै पनि महादेशमा या क्षेत्रमा ड्रग रोक्न 5 वटा काम गर्नुपर्छ। एउटा नखाएकालाई खान दिनु भएन। नेपालमा 6 लाख 7 लाख पर्यो भने बाँकी 3 करोडमा अरूलाई जोगाउनु पर्यो। त्यो थुप्रो एक्टिभिटी गर्नुपर्छ। अर्को खाएकोलाई चिन्नु पर्यो। चिनेपछि चिनेन भने त भित्रभित्र फैलिने भयो। चिन्ने काम दोस्रो। तेस्रो चिनेपछि त्यसलाई व्यवस्थापन गर्नु पर्यो। जेल हाल्ने हो कि सुधार गर्ने हो कि के गर्ने हो? व्यवस्थापन ड्रगबाट निकाल्नु पर्यो। चौथो निक्लिएको मान्छेहरूलाई फेरि त्यहाँ पर्न दिनु भएन, सपोर्ट गर्नु पर्यो। पाँचौं बेचबिखनलाई कारबाही गर्नु पर्यो। त्यसकारण कुनै पनि देशमा रिहाब कसरी ड्रग रोकिन्छ भन्ने बित्तिकै नखाएकालाई खान नदेऊ, खाएकालाई चिन, चिनेकोलाई व्यवस्थापन गर, व्यवस्थापन गरेर आएकालाई फेरि खान नदेऊ, उलाई जीवनयापनमा मद्दत गर, बेचबिखनलाई कारबाही गर।
Experts stress that combating Nepal's drug crisis is not just a medical challenge but a societal one. It demands prevention, treatment and reintegration, supported by employment opportunities, community acceptance and family guidance.
In far western Nepal, Kailali and Kanchanpur are witnessing a growing drug crisis. Police data show a sharp rise in trafficking and addiction, particularly among teenagers, raising new concerns about whether current government efforts are enough to stem the surge. A report.
Nepal is facing a growing challenge with drug abuse and illicit trafficking, particularly among its youth. Bordering districts with India, including Kailali and Kanchanpur, have reported rapid rise in cases of substance abuse in recent months. The trend is on the rise, according to police, across the country like most of the far western districts of Nepal. As per government data, there were 130,424 drug abusers in a 2020 survey. Ministry of Home Affairs in 2024 estimated the number at 156,000. The number is expected to rise in 2025 with an average annual increase rate of 5.06%. The rise is attributed mainly because of weak monitoring and easy access to the illegal drugs due to open border. The majority of drug abusers, 76.7%, are young people aged between 15 and 29 years. In Kailali and Kanchanpur, the age group is between 16 to 20. Province Police Office arrested 977 people in the last fiscal year on charges of drugs trafficking.
हामीले चाहिँ प्रहरीले व्यक्ति पक्राउ संख्या हेर्ने भने चाहिँ 856 जना एक वर्षमा समातेको छ, पक्राउ गरेको छ। त्यसरी 79-80 मा 856 मान्छे पक्राउ गरेका छ भने 81-82 मा 1043 व्यक्तिहरू पक्राउ गरेका छ। अहिलेको चाहिँ डाटा हेर्ने भने चाहिँ यो कार्तिकसम्मको 82-83 को कार्तिकसम्मको डाटा हेर्ने भने चाहिँ 154 छ अहिलेसम्मको।
The open border with India, unemployment, lack of education, poverty, peer pressure, and greed of earning quick money are the major factors. With the alarming story told by the statistics, questions are being asked whether billions of rupees spent by the government annually in raising awareness and prevention activities is going in vain.
Drug trafficking and substance abuse are surging in Madhya province, where police arrested 288 suspects in the past 6 months, including foreign nationals. Dhanusha district has emerged as the epicenter of the crisis, exposing how the open border has fueled a worsening narcotics trade. We have a report.
Drug trafficking and substance abuse are becoming a rising concern in Nepal's Madhya province, one of the country's most densely populated regions bordering India. Over the past 6 months, police has arrested 288 people for involvement in drug trafficking, highlighting a growing crisis. Among those involved in trafficking, 37 are Indian nationals and 13 are women. Looking at the arrests and the quantity of drugs seized across the Madhya province, the provincial capital district Dhanusha seems to be emerging as a major hotspot.
Dhanusha पनि यो लागु औषधको भयावह अवस्थाबाट अछुतो छैन। साउन नेता मात्रै जिल्ला प्रहरी कार्यालयले 485 ग्राम ब्राउन सुगर, 487 किलो गाँजा लगायतका विभिन्न अरू सिन्थेटिक ड्रग्सहरू, केमिकल ड्रग्सहरू चाहिँ बरामद गरेको अवस्था छ।
Madhya province ranks third among Nepal's 7 provinces in terms of substance addiction, with an estimated 16,000 drug users according to police. But the number of traffickers being arrested suggests that the open and porous border with India is haven for illicit trafficking, including narcotics. Police attributes the rise in drug trafficking in Dhanusha beyond the national average to the open border and the lack of seriousness from local governments, families and communities.
लागु औषध चाहिँ दिन प्रत्येक आर्थिक वर्षमा चाहिँ बढोत्तरी छ, यसको मुद्दाको संख्यामा बढोत्तरी छ, यसमा इन्भल्भमेन्टको हिसाबले बढोत्तरी छ र क्वान्टिटीको हिसाबले पनि बढोत्तरी छ। यो भनेको कस्तो हो भने हामीले सीमा नाकाहरू जुन खुल्ला रूपमा सीमा नाका छ, पूर्वदेखि पश्चिमसम्मको नेपालको दक्षिणतर्फको भूभाग, यी खुल्ला सीमा नाकामा हामीसँग एडभान्स खालको टेक्नोलोजी डिटेक्ट गर्ने खालको छैन।
According to provincial data, the districts of Siraha, Dhanusha and Parsa have the highest rates of drug addiction and trafficking. What is particularly concerning is the growing number of very young abusers, many under the age of 20.
अब यसको नियन्त्रण गर्नलाई चाहिँ मूलतः 3टा कुरा हो। राज्यले युवाको नाममा खर्च गरिरहेको बजेट चाहिँ पर्याप्त छैन। दोस्रो भनेको चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई क्षमता अभिवृद्धि गर्ने या अवेरनेसका कुराहरू मा चाहिँ उहाँहरूको इन्गेजमेन्ट गर्ने र सामाजिक रूपमा पनि चाहिँ युवाको भूमिका निर्माण गर्नको लागि चाहिँ सरकारले रहिरहेका कार्यक्रमहरूमा चाहिँ इनबिल्ड गर्नुपर्छ। यो तीनटाको मात्रै मेकानिजम हामीले अहिलेको अवस्थामा क्रिएट गर्न सक्यौँ भने स्वाभाविक हो मधेसमा बढ्दै गएको लागु अवसरलाई चाहिँ हामी क्रमशः घटाउँदै जान सक्छौँ।
Despite intensified policing efforts, both the number of traffickers and drug abusers continue to rise. In just the last 6 months, 288 individuals involved in drug trafficking have been taken into custody and charged. As trafficking and addiction increase, family and social problems are also intensifying. Therefore, to control drug trafficking and its abuse, active involvement is required not only from police campaigns but also from families, communities, and the provincial government.
In eastern Nepal, police in Morang have seized a large cache of marijuana left abandoned in Rangeli municipality. Officers from the Rangeli area police recovered more than 921 kilograms of cannabis packed into 29 sacks. Police Superintendent Kavita Katwal has said a search is underway for those involved in transporting the drugs and an investigation is continuing. President Ramchandra Paudel and Prime Minister Sushila Karki held a meeting earlier today. Soon after concluding a cabinet meeting in Singadarbar, the Prime Minister reached Sheetal Niwas for the meeting. According to the Office of the President, the two discussed preparations for the upcoming elections, the government's agreement with the Gen Z group, and the latest political developments in the country. The meeting comes at a time of heightened political attention, making the discussions particularly significant. Meanwhile, former President Vidya Devi Bhandari visited the Federal Parliament building in New Baneswar today to inspect the damage caused during September Gen Z protests. The former head of state was briefed by Speaker Devraj Khemere and National Assembly Chair Narayan Prasad Dahal on the extent of destruction from the vandalism and arson attacks. Speaking to reporters after the inspection, the former president said she was saddened to see the condition of Parliament left damaged by violence. The Parliament building was vandalized on September 8, followed by an arson attack the next day. Nepal's Election Commission has said 114 political parties are set to contest the national polls on March 5, but only 107 election symbols will appear on the ballot. While alliances are allowed, parties registered with separate symbols must compete under their own logos. 12 parties will run with distinct single symbols, while several groups have opted to share joint symbols. Under Nepal's election law, parties sharing a symbol must still identify their candidates, party affiliation, and whichever party wins the most seats under the joint symbol will form the parliamentary party. Of the 114 parties registered, 102 will contest alone, while 100 parties have filed for proportional representation using 93 symbols. Nepal's Election Commission had in fact set today as the deadline for political parties wishing to withdraw their applications for the proportional representation system. Parties could pull out their names between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. A total of 100 parties have applied for the PR list. The Commission will review the submissions and announce approvals by December 11, according to spokesperson Narayan Prasad Bhattarai. For the March 5 general election, the Commission had opened PR registration from 6th to the 8th of December. Of the 275 seats in the House of Representatives, 165 are elected directly, while 110 come through the proportional representation. CPN-UML's chairperson, KP Sharma Oli, has said that he will retain the party's chair position through the upcoming 11th National Congress if an agreement is reached or if elected by the delegates. In conversation with editors organized by Press Chautari Nepal earlier today, Oli noted that the UML is in favor of parliament reinstatement. Referring to the context of having accepted the court decisions, even if unsatisfactory, Oli mentioned that there is no legal provision requiring him to give a statement to the Inquiry Commission formed to investigate the September 8 and 9 movement.
संविधानको व्याख्या हुन सक्छ त हैन संविधानमा जे लेखेको छ त्यही नै भन्नु योभन्दा अगाडि जुन नजिरहरू सम्मानित सर्वोच्च अदालतबाट प्रतिपादन भएन किनै नहुने त्योभन्दा बाहिर गएर जे पनि त सर्वोच्च अदालतको अर्को
CPI-NUMO's 11th National Congress is taking place on 13th to 15th of December. Newly appointed ambassadors to Nepal formally presented their letters of credence today before President Ramchandra Paul. In separate ceremonies held at Sheetal Niwas, the President received credentials from 5 non-resident ambassadors according to the Office of the President. Those presenting their letters included Ambassador of Uzbekistan, Sardor Mirza Yusupovich, Rustam Bey, Sena Latifov, Romania, Lukman Bobukal Zoda of Tajikistan, Benedict Hoyskool-Dussen of Iceland, and Juan Carlos Marsan Aguilera of Cuba. High-ranking government officials were also in attendance during the ceremonies. Nepal is set to begin a new tiger census from December 16. Chitwan and Parsa national parks will be surveyed as a single block alongside Bake, Bardia and Suklafata, continuing the country's 4-year census cycle. About 150 trained personnel will be deployed from December 18, covering 900 grid units, each representing 2 square kilometers. Camera traps will remain in place for up to 20 days in every sector, with technical teams stationed between grids. Nepal's last census in 2022 recorded 335 adult tigers nationwide. International news coming up next. For now, a quick recap of the headlines. Nepal files a major corruption case linked to main international airport. Corruption watchdog charges 7, including former chief immigration officer. 10-point agreement between Nepal government and Zenzi representatives to be published in National Gazette. Cabinet expands Zenzi Commission's mandate. The world marks International Mountain Day today. Nepal emphasizes urgent action to protect glaciers and sustain mountain livelihoods. Nepal's youth at risk as drug trade escalates in border districts. Open borders, unemployment and poverty major drivers. At least 34 killed as Myanmar military airstrikes hit hospital in Rakhine's Mraoku. Ethnic conflict escalates. And Lumbini Lions set up title clash with Sudur Pashchim Royals in Nepal Premier League MPL Season 2. Defeat Viratnagar Kings by 40 runs. The United States has said it has seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela in what President Donald Trump calls the largest vessel ever taken under U.S. sanctions. A video released by Attorney General Pam Bondi shows what officials describe as a tanker carrying sanctioned crude from Venezuela and Iran. Caracas has condemned the move as international piracy, accusing Washington of trying to steal its resources. The Trump administration, meanwhile, continues to ramp up pressure on President Nicolas Maduro, whom it accuses of enabling narcotics trafficking. News of the seizure pushed Brent crude slightly higher, with analysts warning the action could further disrupt Venezuela's already strained oil exports. Fighting has raged at the border of Cambodia and Thailand, with explosions heard near centuries-old temples ahead of United States President Donald Trump's planned phone call to the leaders of both countries. At least 19 people have been killed in the reignited border conflicts. More than 500,000 people, mostly in Thailand, have fled border areas near where jets, tanks and drones have waged battle. This week's clashes are the deadliest since 5 days of fighting in July that killed dozens before a shaky truce was agreed following intervention by Trump. The Southeast Asian nations dispute the colonial-era demarcation of their 800-kilometer frontier where both sides claim a smattering of historic temples. Both sides blame the other for reigniting the conflict, which has expanded to 5 provinces of Thailand and Cambodia. The Indian capital, New Delhi, has been engulfed in dense smog as cooler winter air traps pollutants close to the ground, creating a hazardous blend of emissions from crop burning, industrial activity and heavy traffic. Authorities have warned residents that air quality levels remain dangerously high, with visibility reduced in several parts of the city. The acrid smog has prompted health advisories urging people to limit outdoor activity, wear protective masks and monitor symptoms related to respiratory issues. In an effort to combat the pollution, the city has deployed anti-smog guns, devices designed to suppress dust and airborne particles by spraying fine water mist. Venezuelan opposition leader and 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Corina Machado has arrived in Oslo after a daring escape from her home country, where she had been in hiding since August 2024 due to threats to her life. The 58-year-old was recognized with the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless efforts to challenge President Nicolas Maduro's authoritarian grip on Venezuela and advocate for democratic reforms. While receiving the accolade, Machado thanked those who risked their lives to get her to Oslo, Norway.
Venezuela will be free, and we will turn a country into a beacon of hope and opportunity of democracy. And we will welcome not only the Venezuelans that have been forced to flee, but citizens from all over the world that will find a refuge, as Venezuela used to be decades ago.
We're going for a short break once again. Coming up next is Business Update.
The prices of gold and silver are continuing to rise, both in Nepal and in international markets, reflecting broader global economic uncertainty. Nepal Gold and Silver Dealers Federation set the price of $1 of gold at 253,100 rupees on Thursday, which is 1,000 rupees higher than the earlier day. Silver has also climbed up by 55 rupees per tola to 3,805 rupees. Globally, 1 ounce of gold is being traded at approximately $4,242, while silver is valued at around $62 per ounce, showing similar upward trends. The increase is driven by factors such as market volatility, currency fluctuations, and investor demand for safe haven assets, particularly amid ongoing geopolitical tensions and inflation concerns. Rising precious metal prices are not only significant for investors but also for consumers and traders, especially in regions like South Asia, where gold and silver play a cultural role in weddings and festivals, and demand traditionally surges during holiday seasons. In Washington, the U.S. Federal Reserve says its decision to cut interest rates was far from straightforward, highlighting the delicate balance between cooling inflation and supporting a weakening jobs market. Fed Chair Jerome Powell told reporters that the third rate cut of the year was a close call, reflecting competing pressures on the economy.
In support of our goals, in light of the balance of risks to employment and inflation, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to lower our policy interest rate by a 0.25 percentage point.
The quarter-point reduction comes amid signs of slower growth and is meant to bolster confidence and steady economic momentum. U.S. President Donald Trump weighed in, saying the Fed's move was too modest and that the central bank could have at least doubled the rate cut.
The head of the Federal Reserve is a stiff, and
You know, you fight that. It's amazing. We fight that, and yet interest rates are going down, except with him, not too much. He did a rather, I would say, a rather small number that could have been doubled, at least doubled. And that's the other thing. I think the rates for the United States are always the lowest in the world, because without us, there is no world.
The comments from Powell and Trump underscore ongoing debate over monetary policy as policymakers and political leaders grapple with how best to steer the world's largest economy through uncertain times. At the vast Rungis International Market just outside Paris, France, often described as the world's largest fresh produce market, wholesalers are gearing up for the intense end-of-year holiday rush. Inside the seafood pavilion, suppliers say the pressure is already building. What makes this year especially challenging is that prices are barely rising despite higher operating and transport costs. For many businesses, that means moving huge volumes just to maintain profitability. The holiday period is critical for the market's traders. Some make up to a quarter of their annual turnover in just a few days, especially in gourmet goods and high-value seafood, where margins are tight and competition is fierce. Rungis, known globally as a heartbeat of Europe's fresh food supply chain, is once again entering the season where timing, logistics, and stamina can determine an entire year's success. Serbia's only oil refinery, the Petroleum Industry of Serbia, or NIS refinery, is coming to a standstill after US sanctions forced the facility to halt production. The refinery, which normally provides around 80% of Serbia's fuel supply, has been unable to receive crude oil since early October, when its Russian majority shareholders were hit by sanctions linked to the war in Ukraine. Since then, operations have gradually worn down as storage tanks emptied and incoming shipments ceased. The shutdown is now entering its final stages, leaving Serbia increasingly dependent on fuel imports at a time when regional energy markets are already strained. The refinery's halt underscores how deeply global sanctions and geopolitics can ripple into national energy systems far beyond the battlefield.
Time now for sports update. Lumbini Lions secured their place in the Nepal Premier League final with a convincing 40-run victory over Biratnagar Kings in the second qualifier at Kirtipur under the floodlights this evening. After being put into bat first, Lumbini posted a competitive total of 134 for the loss of 8 wickets, built around a composed 45 from Darcy Short and a brisk 34 from captain Rohit Paudel. Niroshan Dickwella's lively 29 of 22 ensured the Lions had enough on the board despite regular wickets falling at the other end. Biratnagar's Subhash Bhandari was the standout bowler, finishing with 3 for 14. Biratnagar's chase never gathered momentum. They slipped to 4 for 30, losing Martin Guptill early before Faf du Plessis and Lokesh Bum departed cheaply. Only Sam Hazlett, with an aggressive 34 of 28, threatened to keep the Kings in the contest. Lumbini's bowlers, however, maintained relentless pressure. Player of the match, Tilak Bhandari, delivered a decisive spell of 3 for 15, supported by J.J. Smith's 2 for 15 and Sher Mullah's 1 for 31. Biratnagar were eventually dismissed for 94 in 17.5 overs, falling well short of the target. And now the weather update, first from Nepal and then from around the world. Before we wrap up, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nepal files a major corruption case linked to main international airport. Corruption watchdog charges 7, including former chief immigration officer. 10-point agreement between Nepal government and Zenzi representatives to be published in National Gazette. Cabinet expands Zenzi Commission's mandate. The world marks International Mountain Day today. Nepal emphasizes urgent action to protect glaciers and sustain mountain livelihoods. Nepal's youth at risk as drug trade escalates in border districts. Open borders, unemployment and poverty major drivers. At least 34 killed as Myanmar military airstrikes hit hospital in Rakhine's Raukhu. Ethnic conflict escalates. And Lumbini Lions set up title clash with Sudur Pashchim Royals in Nepal Premier League NPL Season 2. Defeat Viratnagar Kings by 40 runs. That is all for the moment here on NTV World News Hour. Do join us through our social media pages and also visit our official website nepaltelevision.com for more news and information. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thank you for watching. Good night.